Are you gonna pay for it?
Yeah.
Why?
So President Alvarado, we're checking, make sure we're good. Are we good on audio? All right, I think we're ready to begin. President
All
Alvarado.
right. I call this meeting of the Vista Unified School District, regular board meeting to order at 6:03. Please stand for the flag salute. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin, I want to say good evening to everyone. Thank you for joining us. And I want to go ahead and take some time to read from the norms of our governance handbook for this school board. Norms of the USD School Board. We focus on what is best for students and strive to cultivate the unique gifts, talents, and interests of every learner. We respect and model our district values, respect, trust, collaboration, equity, and kindness, and hold a strong commitment to implementing the district vision. We adhere to the highest standards of civic and professional governance, treating ourselves, the superintendent, our staff, students, and community with dignity and respect. We commit to upholding and working within the board-adopted governance principles, norms, protocols, and bylaws. We maintain strict confidentiality of our confidential dealings, e.g. closed session and sensitive student information. We strive to understand different opinions expressed by our fellow board members, the superintendent, our staff, students, and members of the community. We are aware of and responsible of our nonverbal and verbal behaviors when we are communicating. We take responsibility for correcting the behavior that might negatively affect individual board members, the board, and the governance team. We stand behind the majority vote of the board, no matter how each board member individually voted. We do not undermine the decision that is taken by the majority after the vote is finalized. We engage in continuous interpersonal training and growth and always strive for governance improvement. We come prepared for board meetings and use the time to listen, discuss, and seek consensus as we take decisions. We stay focused on our goals, follow the no surprise rule, and agree to maintain a sense of humor. So I just wanted to go ahead and read those agreements from our governance handbook that was approved by this school board. Additionally, during the meeting, there will be a time for the public to comment on matters not on the agenda. In addition, the members of the public may comment on specific agenda items after I, as the board chair, ask for public comment on an item. Until it is your turn to speak, or if you're here just to observe the meeting, please refrain from any behavior that prevents others from participating in the meeting or that disrupts the board's ability to conduct the business of the board. This includes any conduct that prevents members of the board, district staff, or the person making the public comment from speaking. We also ask that when you're called upon, you address only the board. While we assume that members of the public intend to participate in the meeting in a civil manner, and while legitimate criticism of the board is protected speech, we will not tolerate any threats of violence made to board members, staff, or to other members of the public. In the event of a threat of violence, the individual will be removed from the room whenever possible and will be referred to law enforcement. In the event that the meeting is disrupted in a manner that prevents the board from proceeding with the agenda items for the meeting, we may choose to recess the meeting until order is restored. If order cannot be restored after a recess, we may choose to clear the room, move the meeting to a location where it will no longer be disrupted, or adjourn the meeting. So I just wanted to take time to review all that. It's been a while. And I know for sure we haven't really discussed the norms in the governance handbook, and it's really important that we center ourselves in that as we try to do the work of this school district in the best interest of our students. I'm going to take roll. And for the public, we have Trustee Smithfield, who is teleconferencing under AB 2449 Just Cause, reason B. All right, Trustee Vargas.
Here.
Trustee Morocco. Here. Trustee Kelly. Here. Trustee Smithfield.
Here.
And I am present and accounted for. All right, number 3, there was no action taken in closed session. Next on the agenda is approval is item 4, approval of the agenda.
I have a, proposed change to the agenda. I'm thinking that we should move the LCAP and the budget and the blueprint to the back of, item, I think it's 17. Because a lot of the stuff that comes after those things are contained in those documents. And we might want to make some changes based on that, so it might be better to move those 3 items to the back of that section. So make them instead of A, B, and C. Is that, no, I'm sorry, A, C, and D. Maybe make those, that would probably be like, double B, double C, and double D, something like that. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
So I would move that we approve the agenda with those changes.
Moved by trustee Morocco to approve the agenda with the aforementioned changes.
When we did,
Wait, we need a second before we can discuss.
okay,
I second.
Okay, discussion?
I think the order was set in our board prep meeting that the president and vice president held because of order of operations. That the things that follow logically don't follow until we have a board approved LCAP and budget.
But I think that, I think that it is irresponsible to approve a budget and an LCAP. Before we've discussed these things and where they will fit in. If we approve it as it's written, these things then automatically will have to be approved. Because they're already contained in those documents.
I
So-
disagree because they're separate items that'll be voted individually and that's why they're listed the way they are. Also, we've had about 10 hours of meetings on the LCAP and budget already, at which point any trustee could have raised their amendments or suggestions, and they did. So therefore, I think I am not in favor of a board of approving the agenda amendments as proposed.
But it's still, they exist in the, LCAP, they exist in the document.
So I am not in favor of that change either. Trustee Vargas?
I'm fine with keeping the agenda as originally published.
All right, all in favor of?
I'm sorry, I didn't get to say my piece, of which I'm entitled to. So there's I think it's AA at the bottom of the agenda, which directly discusses something in the LCAP. And how that discussion comes out could be a vote yes or a vote no for the LCAP. So to take that opportunity away, obviously, we're the minority, but not good business.
I interject about the AA item. That's for this current school year.
Yeah,
That's not for next school year. So it's included in the LCAP that was approved last year.
For the school year that is now.
But
concluded.
this year we have a Michael Fullen bullet in the LCAP.
But that contract would go forward next year after the LCAP is approved.
But in order to find out, it says provide an overview for the scope and services for Michael Fullen Enterprises contract with Vista Unified District for Deep Learning Pedagogies. There's nothing in there that says that this is discussing this past year's contract. That says right there, there's nothing in there to indicate that it's not the contract that's coming. So I think that that's worthy of discussion.
Do you want me to respond or?
go ahead.
So we included this item because it was requested by a board member. It was requested at the last board meeting, and this is the next board meeting, regular board meeting after the request was made.
This is not what the board member requested, because I was the board member and I requested something else. This is not what I requested. However, given that it's on there, I agree with trustee Smithfield. Maybe we could just move that item to the front to talk about it before we approve the LCAP.
All right, we'll go ahead and take the vote.
The motion on the floor, could you restate, please?
The motion by trustee Morocco, seconded by trustee Smithfield, was to move items
A, B, and
17A, B, and C to
No,
the
no,
very
A, B,
end
and
of
D.
the agenda.
A, B, and D.
A, B, A, B, and D to the end of the agenda. And we have to do roll call vote. So starting with trustee Kelly,
No.
trustee Morocco,
Yes.
trustee Vargas,
No.
trustee Smithfield,
Yes,
and I vote no. So the motion fails.
I move to approve the agenda as is.
So moved.
I ask for a friendly amendment to move item AA to the front of,
There's no
item
second yet.
Okay, you're right.
Would you like to second?
No.
I second that we approve the.
Moved by trustee Vargas and seconded by trustee, Kelly to approve the agenda as is.
I would,
Further discussion?
I would ask that a friendly amendment be made to move item AA to the front of number 17. I don't know what we call it, like chapter 17, or whatever,
Agenda item.
agenda items.
Do you accept that, friendly amendment?
I respectfully decline.
Very well. All right, so we're gonna take the vote. We'll start, with trustee, Kelly,
Yes.
trustee Morocco,
No,
trustee Vargas,
Aye.
trustee Smithfield,
oh, she's muted.
sorry about that. I'm sorry, I had technical difficulties. No,
and then I vote, aye, so the motion carries 3-2. All right. So next is, item 5, district announcement, superintendent comments.
Great. Thank you, President Alvarado, board members. We've entered into our summer learning session. The last time we met was one day after the end of the school year, and we've all had a chance to catch our breath. And I wanted to point out a few things that are happening this summer and celebrate the amazing celebrations that happened on the last week or 2 weeks of the school year. We had over 100 different celebrations, promotions, ceremonies. I want to thank each of the board members for their participation. Each of those ceremonies was truly beautiful. Behavior participation was is commendable on every part, from TK all the way up through high school, and some of our students that are in the adult transition program. It was fantastic. We've focused on, as a district, thanks to your focus with regard to our equity board policy, we focused on behavior and supporting our students as they recover from the pandemic. We focused on social emotional systems of support, and we focused on building academic programs for our students. And I think we saw that in really great detail and display. I do want to share a couple of things. I think it's important as we look forward to going into next year. Just recently, the Surgeon General put out a warning that labeling on the dangers of social media platforms. I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. Just in a few days after that, the governor of California called for a statewide ban on cell phone use on school property. And then also just today, another briefing came out from the governor in the state of California, saying that the state of California, the well-being of students in the state of California is woefully inadequate. As a district, we have been focusing on all three elements of that. And the great work that our teachers and our staff have provided to our students these past couple of years in response to the pandemic has been absolutely commendable. And I think we all saw demonstrations of that during those events. I do want to read a couple of things so that you know, not only did we finish the school year just in an amazing way, we're continuing summer learning. We have students attending summer learning programs at 28 schools, 18 locations in our school district as we speak. We have AM/PM programs across the entire district that are open to our families from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. In response to teacher and staff demand, we have 16 different professional development and collaboration sessions set during June through August. Every elementary school is providing a jump start. That means those students who are new to us for the first time in transitional kindergarten and in kindergarten have a chance to get a 2-week jump start on the school year. All of our schools are participating in that, all 15. We know that literacy is at the core of academic success. All of our elementary principals and assistant principals are attending another training on literacy and core learning. One of the things I wanted to point out, this is actually the book that they used for the training. I was there today. One of the first areas of conversation that the core leadership team had with our principals and assistant principals was the importance of behavior, social, emotional, and academic systems working together. And that's something this board myself and the team have built over the past couple of years. We have a strong behavioral system of support, a strong social emotional system of support, and we have a strong academic system of support. I wanted just to include just a brief overview that the LCAP is similar to learning how to read. Learning how to read, we all know, involves many complex issues, both for comprehension and from that literacy perspective, kind of like a rope, and there are multiple strands in the rope. All the strands work together to make for a strong literacy program. Our LCAP and our blueprint are similar. There's systems in there, and they're all designed to work together. The behavioral systems, the social emotional systems, and the academic systems all work together to provide the support our students need based on our equity board policy. And lastly, while there's much work to be done, I want to read this. With regard to student achievement, there is much to be celebrated as a district, including increasing our attendance rate across the district to over 95%. It starts with attendance. Dropping our chronic absenteeism rate by 50%. That's students who miss more than 10% of the school year. We've dropped it by 50%. Reducing suspensions dramatically across all grade spans, reducing expulsions at the high school significantly, increasing achievement across all levels, including our graduation rate, is now over 90%. Doubling the participation in internship programs, expanding college acceptance. We now have kids going to over 85 different universities and community colleges across the nation. And each of these students collectively have earned over $4 million in achievement awards and scholarships. And I just wanted to take the time to outline these accomplishments to underscore the importance of building a multi-tiered system of support: behavioral, social, emotional, and academic. They all matter. And with those supports in place, we're able to give the students what they need. And we know that that's the definition of equity. I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Doyle. All right, next on the agenda is 6A. This is the public hearing. We will now convene a public hearing on the California Employee Association Chapter 389 Sunshine Proposal to the Vista Unified School District for negotiations for the 2024-25 school year for public comment. If you would like to comment, we ask that you form a line at the podium. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes for such comments. Would anyone like to speak to item 6A, the public hearing? Seeing none? All right. The public hearing for the California Employee Association Chapter 389 Sunshine Proposal to the Vista Unified School District for negotiations for the 2024-25 school year is now closed. All right, next is another hearing, item 6B. We will now convene a public hearing on the Vista Unified School District Sunshine Proposal to the California School Employees Association 389 for negotiations of the 2024-25 school year for public comment. If you would like to comment, we ask that you form a line at the podium. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes for such comments. Seeing no one? All righty then, the public hearing for the Vista Unified School District Sunshine Proposal to California School Employees Association, Chapter 389 for negotiations for the 2024-25 school year is now closed. Next on the agenda is item 6C. We will now convene a public hearing on the Vista Unified School District Sunshine Proposal to the Vista Teachers Association for negotiations for the 2024-25 school year for public comment. If you would like to comment, we ask that you form a line at the podium. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes for such comments. Do we have any speakers for item 6C? Seeing none. The public hearing for the Vista Unified School District Sunshine Proposal to the Vista Teachers Association for negotiations for the 2024-25 school year is now closed. Next is 6D. We will now convene a public hearing on the Vista Teachers Association Sunshine Proposal to the Vista Unified School District for negotiations for the 2024-25 school year for public comment. If you would like to comment, we ask that you form a line at the podium. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes for such comments. Would anyone like to speak to item 6D? Seeing none, the public hearing for the Vista Teachers Association Sunshine Proposal to the Vista Unified School District for negotiations for 2024-25 school year is now closed. All right, next on the agenda is item 7, the presentation of community members, public comments, community members. Any member of the audience who wishes to hold and speak to an agenda item or at the appropriate time speak to an item not on the agenda should complete a hold card and present it to the board secretary before item 2A or before the meeting begins. In an effort to gain as much public input as possible, individual speakers will be limited to 3 minutes or less. A total of 20 minutes will be held for public comments under item 7A. The remainder of public comments will be continued after the completion of discussion action items. If necessary, we have 2 speakers. The first person to speak is Andrea Miller-Fay, followed by Joel Brook, I believe. Hi.
Hello. My name is Andrea Miller-Fay, and I've been working at Rancho Buena Vista High School for 23 years. Throughout my tenure in the district, I've seen many changes, some good, some less so. I'm coming tonight to talk to you about our summer programs. In August, you will hear a report about how successful all of our programs were for the students of Vista Unified, and for most part, they will have been. But we need to seriously examine what we're doing at the high schools for credit recovery. When I began working for VUSD, I taught summer school, and students could make up 1 class in each 3-week session for a total of 10 credits a year and 30 credits throughout their education. As an English teacher, I taught a novel or play. Students wrote analytical paragraphs in an essay. They gave presentations, took a final exam. And while it was not equal to the work they would have completed during a semester of school, students learned and demonstrated their learning during that time. Now summer school is all on the computer and students are not held accountable for learning the content. In fact, it's well known by students that they can cheat their way through their Edgenuity classes. But cheating isn't the only problem. Last year, I was checking on one of my ELD students' transcripts, and I saw that in summer school, she took an English course she didn't need. I said to her, "Oh, no, I'm so sorry you wasted your time taking this course." At first, she looked upset, but after a moment told me it wasn't really a big deal because she had completed it in 2 days anyways. Now, this young woman is quite a superstar, but there's no way that any student, especially an English learner, should be able to receive credits for a semester's worth of work in 2 days. Here's what this means in my classroom and in classrooms throughout our high school campuses. When the work gets hard, kids just stop doing it and they say they'll go to summer school. I'm not speculating here. I have literally had students tell me, "I'm not going to do this. I will just go to summer school." And I'm not alone. This creates a vicious cycle students can't get out of. Things get challenging, they give up, and so they don't gain the skills necessary to succeed in the next course. And it's even worse for courses like math, where there's gaps that make it impossible for them to access the learning in the next level. Post-COVID, we needed to expand our programs for all of the credit deficient students, but there's not a need to do this on such a mass scale anymore. I know the board's working on requiring A through G eligibility for graduation, and this is a policy I don't necessarily agree with for a lot of reasons. But saying we have high standards for A through G, but then letting students make up virtually all of their credits through Edgenuity is incongruent. This isn't a problem at only the comprehensive high school. It has a real impact on our continuation schools as well. There is a need to offer students a way to make up their credits, but what we are doing is not a way to make kids kind and confident, curious and connected, or capable and knowledgeable. I urge you to talk to secondary teachers and counselors about our programs and to put policies in place that are not just a checkbox for schools, but are actually aligned with our learner portrait and the values of our district.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Next is Joel Brook.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Joel Brook. My children have been attending Vista Academy of Visual and Performing Arts since 2020. And our journey with Vista Unified, especially VAPA, has been wonderful until this year. I'm before you to seek attention to 2 troubling issues involving the administration at Vista Academy. I served as the vice president of the Vista Academy PTO for about a year until this April, when I began being harassed publicly by other volunteers and faculty. Sadly, because of these events and the inaction of Principal Walker and Assistant Principal Chanel Berthiaume, I am unsure if I will feel comfortable enough on campus to continue to volunteer at my own children's school. On April 16th, I received a concerning email from the PTO board. My attempts to communicate with the board members were met with silence. Desperate for clarity, I reached out to Principal Walker, explaining that I had received defamatory, blackmailing, and harassing emails from other volunteer board members. I asked for intervention as this treatment violated our school's code of conduct. Her response was disheartening. As a school principal, I am unable to get involved. This bullying continued until the end of the school year. I notified Principal Walker I discovered a single faculty member was responsible for fabricating this outrageous, untrue story about me that led to this harassment and defamation. I asked Principal Walker for a conference with faculty member to resolve this amicably in-house. Principal Walker again refused my request in a letter also CC'd to Shereen McKeon dated June 7th, 2024. Bullying and misconduct exist on our campuses, but do not always involve students. I exhausted all options with BAPA administration before coming here today. While I am seeking resolution in consideration of my limited time, I will move on to my second more serious matter and ask you all to refer to the more comprehensive email I sent you all earlier this afternoon. This is not the first issue my family has faced with Principal Walker this year. One of my children suffered greatly due to Principal Walker's inaction, causing such distress that my student had to leave campus for 8 months until she was comfortable enough to return. My child had a medical issue at school in which I feel a parent should have been notified immediately. Instead, my child was kept in Principal Walker's office for over 4 hours before a parent was called. To protect the medical privacy of my child, I will simply say this incident ended with my child in the hospital. Approximately a week later, I asked Principal Walker for documentation regarding where, when, and what happened to my child while she was in Principal Walker's custody for those 4.5 hours. Her response was that there was no documentation, no notes, no standard forms, or anything to provide to me, the concerned parent. Again, due to time constraints, I will summarize my request to, I don't want this to happen again to any child. Administration should have a protocol for situations such as this, especially when medical concerns are at hand. If these protocols are already in place, I think I can speak for all VAPA parents when I say, where is the plan? I implore you all to address both of these issues. A safe, supportive, transparent environment for all, free from bullying and misconduct, should not be optional in Vista Unified School District, both for students and parents. Thank you for your time and attention, and Dr. Goel, I do have a copy of that for you, because I did not
Thank you.
CC you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is item 8, reports from school-related organizations. You'll have 3 to 5 minutes, starting with 8A, the Vista Teachers Association.
They will be here too.
They won't? Okay. So next is 8B, California School Employees Association, CSEA.
Evening, board.
Good evening.
My name is Robert Johnson. I'm here on behalf of Marcella. She couldn't make it tonight to give our update for the CSEA chapter 389. We made it through another school year. I'd like to congratulate and thank everybody for all the hard work that we all put in. Thank you. Thank you. Last month, our chapter celebrated the Classified School Employee Week, where we had quite a few members come and enjoy the celebration put on by our CSEW committee. We want to thank the board members, Raina, for attending, Martha for donating the Padre tickets, and Dr. Doyle and Dr. Olmsted for attending and showing their support to us. We would also like to thank those of you who participated in the job shadowing that week. We've only heard positive feedback. I can't speak to everybody, but in grounds, we had Dr. Doyle come and help us out at Vista High in preparation for graduation, and
They were pretty straight. Lines were pretty straight.
yeah, he mowed the quad on the little zero turn mower, and we were expecting big waves in it, and it's nice and straight. Did some hedge trimming out in the stadium. So if this superintendent gig doesn't work out, somebody was gonna help us out.
It was surprisingly fun.
Yeah. We'd like to acknowledge our retirees this year. We had 11 classified employees who retired. Congratulations and thank you for your service. A lot of years go into this. And we want to wish you all continued success, happiness, and good health in your retirement. We'd also like to thank Scott Conley, who has been extremely helpful to the classified staff at Beaumont and RMMS in providing and moving the moving boxes for the 2 schools and staff there. And as you know, we have several MOUs in the side letter and the proposal that we'll be presenting to you guys that and we look forward to our negotiations this summer. Let's see, so we would also like to thank Amy Shackelford for her service and dedication to our district. I also have a parting gift for you that I'll give to you back there in the back. It's nothing important, it's just something little.
More gummy bears.
I can't say. It was a pleasure to have worked with you during negotiations and all the budget reviews, so thank you again. And Dr. Locher, we'd like to welcome you to your new position and are looking forward to working with you in the same capacities, and I have a welcome gift for you as well. And that's all we have, and we hope you guys all have a great summer.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank you, sir. All right, next is item C, District English Learner Advisory Committee, DLAC. Buenas tardes.
Hola, buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes, miembros de la mesa directiva. DILAC realizó una reunión oficial el lunes 13 de mayo. En esta reunión se completó una tarea, que fue la tarea número 2, que fueron los reportes de necesidades escolares por parte de los representantes de los ILACs. Y como punto número 2, se estableció un quórum de 15 personas, representantes de las 24 escuelas representadas en el distrito. Los representantes de DILAC recibieron un certificado por su participación en DILAC de este año. Como nuestra presentación final, DILAC quisiera volver a compartir con ustedes todas las recomendaciones de este ciclo escolar y las recomendaciones de diciembre. La primera recomendación fue tener más talleres para padres o guardianes acerca del proceso de reclasificación. El segundo punto fueron las cartas que se mandan a casa, que se use un lenguaje más comprensible y fácil de entender para los padres. En febrero, el punto número 1 es que se le dé más información a DILAC acerca de la capacitación que reciben los profesores. Y el segundo punto, asegurar la continuación y aplicación de capacitación de los maestros.
Good evening, board members. DILAC conducted the last official meeting on Monday, May 13th. In this meeting, one task was completed. Task number 2, needs assessment reports by ELAC representatives. Quorum was met with 15 out of the 24 schools represented in the district. DLAC representatives were also presented with a certificate for their participation in DLAC this year. As our final presentation, we would like to share with you the recommendations given throughout the year. The recommendations for December were number 1, provide more workshops for parents and guardians to understand the reclassification process and criteria. Point number 2, letters that are sent home use comprehensible language and easier to understand for parents. In February, point number 1 was more information to be given to DLAC about the training that teachers receive. And point number 2 was to ensure the continuation and implementation of teacher training.
En el mes de marzo, una primera recomendación es que se le dé más oportunidad a los padres para ser informados acerca de los programas de adquisición del lenguaje que están disponibles en el distrito. La segunda recomendación, asegurar que los materiales didácticos en español que usan los estudiantes se incluyan lenguaje auténtico y correcto. El número 3, los aprendientes de inglés puedan usar materiales en español en clases que no sean de doble inmersión. En el mes de abril, la primera recomendación fue que el puesto de enlaces comunitarios se mantengan en el presupuesto de años futuros. La segunda recomendación, que se inviten y se animan los directores, subdirectores y maestros de recursos de USD a que asistan a las juntas de DILAC. Y la tercera recomendación es que se le brinde a DILAC más información del presupuesto de LCAP y términos utilizados en la presentación como título 1, título 3, entre otros, para poder comprender mejor las presentaciones. Y en el mes de mayo, las 3 recomendaciones, la primera es que se ofrezcan tutorías después de la escuela por lo menos 2 veces por semana para apoyar a los aprendientes de inglés en todas las escuelas. La segunda recomendación es que se dé a conocer la información acerca de las tutorías para que más padres estén enterados y más aprendientes de inglés tengan acceso a estas tutorías. Y la tercera recomendación es que los documentos del distrito sean traducidos por los traductores del departamento bilingüe.
In our March meeting, we had the following recommendations. Our first recommendation was give more opportunities for parents to be informed of the different language acquisition programs that are available in the VUSD. Our second recommendation was to ensure that the Spanish instructional materials being used with students includes authentic and correct language. Third recommendation was that English learners be allowed to use Spanish materials in non-dual immersion classes. For our April meeting, our first recommendation was that the community liaison position be maintained in the budget for future years. Our second recommendation was that principals, assistant principals, and ELD resource teachers be invited and encouraged to attend DLAC meetings. Our third recommendation was for DLAC to be provided more information regarding the budget and the LCAP and terms used in that presentation, such as Title I, Title III, among others, so we can better understand the information. For our month of meeting of May, our first recommendation was after school tutorials be offered at least twice a week at every school to support English learners in all the schools. Our second recommendation was to inform parents of tutoring opportunities so that more parents are aware and more English learner students have access to tutoring. And our third recommendation was that all district documents be translated by the translators of the multilingual department. Thank you.
Ok, perdón, quisiera hacer una corrección en el mes de marzo. Me lo enviaron mal. La tercera recomendación lo dije así, los aprendientes de inglés puedan usar materiales en español en clases que no sean de doble inmersión. Lo que los padres quieren es que los aprendientes de inglés puedan usar el material en español, el mismo material que usan los aprendientes, los estudiantes de doble inmersión, que compartan el mismo material.
So sorry, I wanted to make one correction in March, because in March, what was said, what was written was that English learners be allowed to use Spanish materials in non-dual immersion classes. But what I meant to say was that English language students should be allowed to use the same materials that are used in dual immersion classes.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Thank you, muchas gracias. All right, next on the agenda is item 9A, board member report outs. We'll start with trustee Smithfield.
I have a few. I went to graduation elementary Alamosa, middle school Roosevelt, and Mission Vista. I also had the opportunity to attend the award ceremonies at our high schools where we gave out scholarships, and the groundbreaking for Beaubier, which is dear to my heart because Dem Morton and I, that was our vision and our plan, and now we're seeing it come to real. Since this is about meeting updates, I do want to address our last meeting and the two prior to that, and then what was said tonight when the meeting started. So it's awkward and there's a big elephant in the room. And I wasn't asked, I was informed by the board president that my voice was no longer wanted. My questions were not. This was said in front of the entire board. And I'm okay with that. If they don't want to listen to my questions and the knowledge that I have, but I'm here to represent the people in my community who put me in this seat. They come to me, I come to you. It's your choice to listen or not. So going forward from this moment on until November, I will be talking to my public, the people whom I represent, because I value their voices and I value their opinions.
Trustee Vargas?
Yep, on mine, had a great time at Grapevine Elementary for their dual language exhibition. Our fifth graders are more than prepared for middle school, and so I'm excited about the start of the dual language program at Madison Middle School. That's definitely been, plans in the work, and I know there's further plans to expand that at other middle schools. In addition, got to attend Pride by the Beach with Dr. Dill, support our North County LGBTQ Resource Center, Following that, there was a bunch of promotions and graduations, so I got to go back to my elementary school, Breeze Elementary, and, congratulate the fifth graders there. Was also at, Rancho Minerva, Roosevelt, Vista Magnet Middle School, Vita promotions there with the eighth graders, and ended it, at Vista High with, our Panthers over there. So congratulations to those that were promoted, that were graduating, and, with that, wishing you the best in the next chapter of, your career. In addition, alongside trustee Julie Kelly, went to Sacramento last month, as part of our CSBA delegation trip, with, large discussion on Prop 98, the budget. I know Amy's following it closely, and we'll continue to, lobby on the Prop 98, the trailer bill that's supposed to come out here by the end of the month, so that we get a budget approved. And then lastly, it was an honor to attend the Bovier groundbreaking ceremony. I know that project is gonna make a huge impact in our community, so thank you to trustee Smith for that work, and, making sure that, we have adequate material plans and, a project that's, gonna be instrumental in our community here at Vista Unified.
Trustee Morocco?
So yes, I did, the graduation thing just with everyone else in elementary school promotions. I went to, Beaumont, which was so bittersweet. I also went to their garage sale. I think it was a garage sale, is that what it was called? Or open house or something that they had. And Mandy, was it garage sale? Yeah, okay. Well, it was their last hurrah kind of thing where they were
It was their block party.
block party. That's it. That's it. It was something like that. But their block party. I went to their block party, which was also just so bittersweet, bitter and sweet, but so went there. I attended the promotion ceremony for Belmont, which was heartwarming. Those kids, I wish them all the best. I attended the promotion ceremony at Monte Vista as well as Foothill Oak, the graduation ceremony at Rancho Minerva, and I also, for the high schools, well, I also attended the VBA, Vista Visions Academy promotion or graduation and promotion. They have all three of them in one ceremony. I also went to Murray, Major General Murray, graduation, as well as Alta Vista graduation, and I ended it at Rancho Buena Vista, sorry. Rancho Buena Vista, my brain's not working tonight. Rancho Buena Vista, which was a beautiful ceremony and just so bittersweet. These graduations are so bittersweet because we're so proud of our kids that they've worked so hard and they accomplish their goals, and then, but so sad to see them go. I also yesterday I went to Bernard's construction company and saw them, the way that they handle the bid process for the Bovier project. And I was so blown away and impressed with how organized it was, considering that they had, gosh, like 26, 27, I forgot how many the bid categories that they got for bids for, and each one was multiple bids. So they have a really great system there. Just feel very confident with them. Attending the Bovier meetings as best as I can, and get excited about that project going forward.
Trustee Kelly?
Thanks. I guess since our last meeting, one of the first events I attended was Dancing Afuera, which is an community arts dance event hosted by Vista Academy, where many students and community groups performed. I also accompanied Trustee Vargas. We are both elected delegates to the California School Board Association, and that May meeting is one of two required meetings per year. I think one of my big takeaways, in addition to the advocacy that's needed to ensure that Prop 98 is fulfilled for all California districts, was a couple of very insightful workshops about how other districts are addressing their budget shortfalls with pink slips. And I feel grateful that we have been able to avoid that for all our staff and community. I was at the Rancho Minerva Middle School proclamation event, which was wonderful, and a very nice acknowledgement to the staff and the students as they all transition away from the Rancho Minerva campus at the end of this year. And then I attended the Bovier groundbreaking, so, you know, the new beginning of a wonderful project that our other trustees have alluded to. Dr. Doyle and I were at the Future Farmers of America annual celebration awards dinner. And that kicked off a number of promotions that I was personally able to attend. Middle schools, Madison and Vita, elementary schools in Pressa, Honolulu, and Maryland. I attended the Mission Vista graduation. And shortly after that, I was able to help with a presentation of special Strider bikes to Madison Middle School for their Special Olympics integrated PE program. So
Thank you.
those are my highlights.
I had a busy month as well. I attended the community school showcase at Vista High School with all our community schools and their site coordinators and principals and the team. And that was really nice to see all the progress that has been made in the last 2 years with the first cohort and the second cohort. I attended the Vista Magnet Middle School promotion, the Avid Senior Ceremony, which was beautiful. I attended the Alta Vista graduation ceremony and the Vista High graduation ceremony. Additionally, I was able to attend the scholarship ceremonies at Rancho Buena Vista High School and Vista High School, and also accompanied Dr. Doyle and Trustee Vargas to Pride by the Beach to support our North County LGBTQ Center. So it was a very busy week, and my congratulations to all the graduates and all the families and all the teachers that have supported our scholars and our classified employees too. Many of the students talked about their classified person, whether it be Miss Mary at Vista High or Mr. Henry I mean, everyone had a story for all the people who supported them, and that was very heartwarming. So I want to thank all of the village that it takes to make our kids successful and happy graduates. So thank you very much. All right, next on the agenda is item 10A, staff committee reports to the board. For the staff committee reports, it's 10A is annual report to the board by the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, CBOC. And the way we're going to do this, we're going to have questions at the end. And then, yeah, questions at the end. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, President Alvarado, Vice President Kelly, and members of the Board of Trustees. It's my privilege to introduce Ms. Penny Harrington, our Vice Chair of the CBOC. According to the CBOC's administrative regulations and Article 13A of their bylaws, they're required to publish an annual report each year to the community. The publishing of this report is marked by this date of the board meeting and is a special event that Ms. Harrington will read the overview letter, which is required according to administrative regulations to the board. So Ms. Harrington, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Dr. Doyle, board members, and the USD community. As mentioned, our CBOC chair is not available this evening, so I will read this in her stead. Pleased to do so. Our report focuses from a financial aspect from the fiscal year July 1st, 2022 to June 30, 2023. But for progress purposes, it brings you current on our construction projects to date. This year's Citizen Bond Oversight Committee annual report includes many exciting updates on the completed and ongoing projects in our district that are part of the Measure LL bond. One of the most visible additions to our schools is Building S at Vista High School along Bovier Drive. Another is the restoration and upgrade of Vista Magnet Middle School entry and plaza, which the Vista Historical Society has designated an historical landmark. These are just two of many projects where students are learning in safer structures and new classrooms with latest technology. We hope you will take time to look back at the classrooms and what has been accomplished over the past year and learn what is ahead for our Vista schools in this beautiful report for our Vista Unified Governing Board and the citizens of the district. The CBOC's purpose is to monitor the use of Measure LL bond funds to ensure that they are used appropriately and as outlined by the bond Vista taxpayers approved. In addition, we review the annual audit performed by Bailey, CPAs, and business advisors. In the audit completed for fiscal year July 1st, 2022 through June 30, 2023, we noted there were no instances of noncompliance. The auditor sampled transactions amounting to 30.6 million or 76% of $40.3 million in total expenditures during the audit period. The conclusion stated the results of our tests indicate that in all significant respects, the district has properly accounted for the expenditures held in the building fund measure LL, and that such expenditures were made for authorized bond projects. Several projects were completed in the past year with large-scale capital improvements, including the Vista Magnet Middle School entry modification, new Vista High School buildings, and the new Career Technical Education Complex at Rancho Buena Vista High School, utilizing bond funds. Smaller projects have once again been funded with a variety of funding sources, such as District Certificate of Participation Program through Fund 40, developer funds, state grants, state general fund, unrestricted, and federal elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds. In total, these projects supplemented the district progress by over $20 million in the 2022 to 23 school year. These additional revenue sources have and will continue to be advantageous to allow remaining bond funds to be used for completion of current construction projects. The CBOC meets quarterly to review budgets and expenditure reports and receive updates from district staff and the facilities bond management team, composed of seasoned construction and public facilities experts on the construction progress. Once again, this year we concluded that the district's expenditures have been fiscally responsible and adhere to the scope of measure LL. The public is always encouraged to attend our meetings. We value the input and insights of our community members, and we greatly thank the taxpayers for their support of the measure LL bond and making our schools more sustainable. As always, the community is encouraged to review the information available on our website, where you will also find this report. To find the purpose statement, learn more about projects, and view the progress of the district facilities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on the report, starting with trustee Vargas?
Yeah, and this may be more for staff. A couple years ago, we were understaffed on this committee. Are we fully staffed now, or are there missing seats?
Well, we have currently one seat available. We had one resignation as of the last meeting. That's for a parent representative. Applications are being reviewed at this time. I do want to also state, I want to thank Ms. Harrington for her service to our committee. She has completed her term, and so we thank her very much.
Thank you very much.
So that seat will become open. So we'll be bringing back applications to the board as soon as they've all been reviewed.
Got it. What's the timeline we're looking at for that?
It will be within 30 days, all of the applications received will be reviewed, and then we will take those to the committee chair for their review, and then we will forward on those recommendations to the board, typically 60 days in total.
Perfect. Thank you.
Trustee Morocco?
No, I'm good. You guys have done a great job and appreciate it.
Trustee Kelly?
I have no questions, but I do thank you and the other members of the committee for the time you've invested and appreciate those long hours.
Trustee Smithfield?
Thank you, Penny, and thank Linda too. Thank you for being so committed.
And I just want to ditto what all my fellow trustees say. I'm very grateful for all the work and time and energy that all of you have put forward to make sure that our Measure LL funds, that the audits are done and that they're complete, and how well you guys collaborate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Penny.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is item 10B, Measure LL Micro Bond Workshop.
Thank you very much, Madam President. We're going to move over to the Measure LL Facility Bond Workshop. This evening, we have several parts. We'll have our financial overview. It is our end of the year activity to provide you our public labor agreement, or PLA, end of year report, so that way you can review those numbers. We'll then go through several items regarding project updates and other things, just to bring the board and level you up on all of the things occurring. First of all, for all of the financials, you will notice all financials are in order. There have been no unexpected costs. We do continue to see things progress as we move forward with the closeout of several items. You're going to see later on, and we'll speak about it, notices of completions being recommended for your approval, and the closing of our BB CTE project. In short order, we'll be coming back to you with the closing of additional major projects. We're going to invite up from GAFCON, Brent to be with us. He's going to take us through all of the goals for the PLA and where we stand of this year. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, board, for the presentation. So we have the Vista Magnet Middle School project that was just recently completed. It's a great addition to the district. So the PLA has a tier 1 district goal of 5%. So they met and exceeded that. It's 12.58. And tier 2 was 20%, and there's 22.35 of all hours worked on the project for the North County goal. And of course, the tier 3 or the final goal of 80%, we almost met that. It's a little bit lower than the 80%, 77.5. But if you add both the tier 1 and tier 2, which are kind of the main areas of the PLA for the district, since it does include the district residents and the constituents and everybody that voted for the major, so that they could keep the money local and of course, keep working on the project. So it makes it beneficial for the district. It was about 35% around there. So did a great effort on that. So, and the apprentice ratio, we got those apprentices out there. So that's about a little over 23%. So it makes it a great effort for those apprentices so they can get through their periods and become journeymen. So there won't be any type of workforce shortages in the future. So it just kind of lets them move through their periods and they're getting their experience working on site. And we all are looking forward to the new Beaubier Elementary School project. That's kind of like the flagship project for the PLA. So we're looking forward to getting that project going. And we just had the first pre-job construction meeting yesterday. So we're finally going to get some construction on site and get that project going. So I appreciate your time this evening, and good luck. If you do have any questions, please let me know.
Do we want to pause there or?
Any questions about the PLA numbers for Vista Magnet Middle School? Comments? Trustee, well, let's start. Do you have any?
Nothing.
Trustee Smithfield?
She's not.
No, I do not.
Vargas?
Yeah, Brent, for that tier 1, if you go to the previous slide, 12.5 is the numbers we have. Part of that tier also included VUSD graduates and veterans.
It does.
Data points of like what the breakdown is of that 12.5%.
I don't have the breakdown of that. The graduates, what we do is we have a form that we send out to all the contractors, and it's a self-reporting form that they had any district graduates or if there's any veterans on their staff that have worked on the project. I believe through those forms for this particular project, we had possibly 2 veterans that were out there on site. But for district graduates, we didn't have any notifications from the contractor since it is a self-reporting on that, but we do send that out to all the contractors to make sure, and we do follow up with that to make sure that they, you know, because those residents are considered tier 1 district resident no matter where they live.
Yeah, that'd be great if we could pull those numbers and send that in a final report. The second one is on the apprenticeship ratio, same question, like, do we know from that 23%, how many of those are currently within our VUSD zip codes?
We don't know what the percentage would be with that, but we do have you can actually look at the bigger slide. It kind of tells you what the number of apprentices that were in tier 1 and tier 2. Like if you look over towards the far right, it says number of apprentices. Like probably 1, 2, 3, like right there.
Yeah.
So there were 12 apprentices that were worked on the project from tier 1. There was 30 from tier 2 and 59 from tier 3. I don't know what level the apprentices were, but they were at least registered apprentices with the state of California and with the labor unions.
Perfect. I'm excited that we hit our goals and went above that tier 1.
Yeah, all the projects have been really good for this district, and we're looking forward to continue that streak with Beaubier Elementary School also.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you,
Trustee
Mr. Brown.
Morocco?
No questions. Thank you.
All right, and I don't have any. Thank you
Thank
for giving us that update on the PLA and the goals.
Thank
All
you.
right, Dr. Loescher?
Thank you very much. I'm going to invite up to join me now, Ms. Grace Chan, who is going to give us just a quick overview of the Career Technical Education Complex. Change order 2, this is to close out the project. You'll be noting a credit coming back to the district of about $33,900. Chan, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Loescher. honored board members, Dr. Doyle and the Vista community. This is exciting, right? All the things that we've been pushing to get done in this amount of time that we've been here. And so as Dr. Losha had mentioned, we're basically trying to close up and finish up some of the projects so that we can see what's remaining in the 247 funds. That way we can look forward to the future of planning other projects to continue the modernization and upgrade of all the facilities here at the district. So basically, the original GMP amount, as you can see for RBV CTE, with all of the numbers all trued up, with the exception of, you see the note at the bottom, this is just for the construction cost. There is going to be other true ups that will need to happen after we get this final GMP amount. And so you can see the original was 10,695,000, and with the monies coming back from the unused contingencies, it's gonna be now the construction final at 10,666 and change. And so once we have this approved tonight at the board, we could basically follow up with the additional paperwork that's needed by DSA, the Form 168. And then that will also give us the springboard to basically true up the architect and consultant costs as well as any additional DSA fees. And then once we do that, then we'll have a final complete project cost. So on the financials, you'll be able to basically see what RBV CTE cost in its entirety. And then so further down, we're gonna be, I think, Lesko and Dr. Losher, there's gonna be a request for notice of completion so we can continue the local out process. Any questions on this?
So special thanks to Alex Preciado, who headed up this project. Not only did this come in under, given all the things that happened in an extended time scope, this involved additional scope, including additional blacktop of repairs for the site. So this was quite a feat for them.
Yes.
So I have something I would like to say.
Go ahead, trustee Smithfield.
So we're winding down the projects for this bond, and it's been very successful because of Grace Chen, who has led all of our projects. We had to call her in because of very disastrous, questionable things that had happened prior to this bond that we didn't want to repeat. So I thank Grace and I bid farewell to her tonight. We will miss you, and I question the whole idea of saying goodbye to you, but our success is because of your running the show. So thank you, Grace.
Thank you. Trustee Vargas,
No further questions. Thank you.
trustee Morocco? Yep. Trustee Kelly?
No, thanks.
And I just want to thank you guys as well for the hard work at RBV. Thank you so much. So next on the presentation is the B wing at Vista High School, right?
So same thing with Vista High, we're basically pushing to winding down these projects. And so one of the last things was the V-wing. And so as you know, we through the past several months and you've seen the demolition of it. And now if you've driven by lately, you'll see that there's new blacktop. So right now it's at the phase of basically waiting for it to cure so that we can do the striping later on. But it's exciting over there as well to finally get that project to that point right now.
Let's see. Trustee Smithfield started. Trustee Morocco? Any questions on the V wing?
Nope. No, it's just I kind of want to reiterate what my colleague trustee Smithfield said about your contributions, Grace, have been invaluable. And and while I know that Chris and Alex are amazing, you're an integral part of the team, and so you're going to be sorely missed. It's been an honor, and you guys will do great things together. I know there's a lot of amazing things that's going to happen together. Thank you.
Trustee Kelly?
I echo everyone's thanks to Grace, and I don't have any questions about that
The
part
V wing.
of the viewing
Okay.
proposal, presentation.
Trustee Smithfield, any questions about the V wing update?
No, thank you.
Trustee Vargas?
Not a question, but actually more guidance, Dr. Dill. I know constituents are always asking, what's the next project? And so can we just level set for the public, like, are we thinking about projects with the remainder of the funds
Yes.
for Metro LL?
Yeah, I think there's two levels to that answer. I'll have Dr. Loescher answer both of those levels. So let's start with what do we have in front of us right now that the board has approved, and we can talk about future projects.
Sure. For what the board has approved, we have Bovier out in front of us, which based upon consensus with the board, we're taking a conservative financial approach until we can get the building out of the ground. This is recommended, so that way we know more accurately what our costs are. Once we do that, we're prepared to come back to the board based upon previous board priorities around safety to make a listing of recommendations on the amount that is left in the bank and on a possible issuance of the level C bonds that have yet to be issued. So we'll be coming back to the board with that as we get more information on this project.
So what I would add to that, thank you, Dr. Loescher, is the board directed us many months ago, which I think wisely directed us, was to hold off on identifying any additional projects until we were at the point we're at right now with Bovier, because we wanted to make sure that we had sufficient funds to build Bovier the right way. That was the direction of the board. So the contract we're bringing forward to tonight for TPC's continuation is an abbreviated contract because the job we have in front of us is an abbreviated job. At some point in the very near future, we're going to bring back to the board a deliberative process where you can direct us on how to spend the remaining funds. Because at that point, we'll know how many funds we will remain. We anticipate that coming back to you sometime in August. And it will coincide with the GMP, the guaranteed maximum price for phase 2 of the project. So that's what we anticipate. And at that point in time, we can talk about the scope of the level of support. So we're just simply being conservative on purpose based on the feedback we got from the board.
Thank you.
All right. Well, who did I leave off on? I'm
I
sorry.
think you got everyone but
Like
yourself.
everyone but myself. Okay. No, I don't have any questions about the B wing. I'm glad that that section of Vista High is gonna
Yeah.
look much better now that those portables are gone. All right, and next is the Bovier ES construction.
Yes, a lot has been happening in the past couple months, prepping for the bid that trustee Morocco attended yesterday for phase 2. And so we basically made sure, and we see the attendance, there are a lot of people that were interested in this project, and this is just a photograph of that meeting. And then we also met with the community, because as you know, we care about the community.
Yes.
And Dr. Doyle and Dr. Loescher, I'm sure, and Rosemary had a lot of fun enjoying.
Actually made some new friends.
Yes, exactly. Meeting our community members. So everyone's really excited. And then of course, the groundbreaking, an awesome event. And I know we're all looking forward to a ribbon cutting soon, right? Yes.
So maybe we could just take a moment before we go on to the next one, to just give an update to the board again about this quick timeline of what's gonna happen next at Bovier, because it's gonna start happening really quickly.
It does happen quickly. It goes through what we call a reverse use cycle. We're gonna see a lot of activity coming up with demolitions. So this is a time to get out and see everything coming down. And then we're gonna go into the earth, and as we do, things will not be seen for a while we go down and we scrape the earth and get down and do the filling and all of the utilities around. Then we will come out of the ground and you will see the building rise, and it will rise, we hope, rather quickly. That will start happening about month 5 and 6, and then we will move our way through that process to a point where the building will look to many to be complete. It will not. We have to do the inside at that point. And that becomes a little more frustrating times for many people as we complete the outside of the building and we begin the inside of the building and preparing it. So that is a total of a 2-year process from the groundbreaking all the way to the point where we have people moving back in.
Yes. This is a good time for me to thank Grace for the work that she did. I wanted to wait for this time on purpose because Grace and I, trustee Smithfield, Dr. Loescher and many others, Chris, of course, and others, have not only been preparing for the building, we've also been, and this is thanks to Grace's leadership, working closely with the teachers and the students at Bovier. And it's really important to note that Grace led a conversation along with trustee Smithfield with our student ambassadors, our students. And by the way, they were more than just 5th graders. We had 2nd graders, 3rd graders, and 4th graders there. And it was truly a beautiful process to see happen. And then perhaps most importantly, we met over the course of 8 months with all the teachers and the staff members. And as you can imagine, they have some anxiety. So we walked through that. So I'm very appreciative of your patience, but more importantly, your leadership and walking them through what the process looks like. So thank you so much. It was truly meaningful.
Thank you. It's been an honor. And also you're basically positioned for success because now you have a long-range
Yes.
facility master plan. You have district standards, you have, in-depth. Actually, this has been all a learning curve, but at the same time, all the lessons learned on how to prepare for the future and future projects, you're all prepared and set for that.
Yeah. One last statement I would like to make, just because we don't get these opportunities very often, to thank Grace and the entire team at PPC. We, as you know, often run into members of our public who are not having projects done at their school. So they ask about the Bovieres and the Vista Highs and the Rancho Buena Vistas of the world. And I'm proud to be able to tell them that Grace and the PPC led a process for long-range facility master planning that actually has some ideas for every school in our district. And that should we move forward in the future with additional monies, we have a map, we have a plan. And every time I tell people that story, they go to the website and check it out, and they feel better that they have been included. Every school has been included in this process, and that at some point, we're hoping to bring these improvements everywhere. So again, it's not just Bovier, it's not just Vista High School, it's not just Rancho Buena Vista High School, it's the entire school district and 28 long-range facility master plans that are posted on our website. So thank you and the entire PPC team for that.
And with your vision leadership as well, and the backing and the support of everybody here, you've been able to accomplish a lot.
Yes.
All right, so let me circle back, the feedback that you asked for, trustee Vargas, is information on Vista High graduates. And let me come around if there's anyone else who has feedback from these presentations, trustee Morocco?
And the veterans, so.
And
Yeah, I have
the
it.
veterans is on there, I think, it's on the bottom. Is it
I can
not?
go back to that slide, but I have notes on it.
It says veterans 0 on slide,
I'll
Right.
provide-
We will circle back.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll circle back
Okay.
and provide all.
Thank you.
trustee
Yes.
Morocco, feedback?
Veterans is listed on there, just, I see it, but, no.
Trustee Kelly?
None, thanks.
Trustee Smithfield?
Oh, I'm good.
All right, so we will be voting on this for 17.
One more, two more slides.
Oh.
Coming up. We're almost
Almost
done.
there.
Okay.
We're almost done.
Ooh,
Sorry I spoke so much, but I don't have these opportunities very often, so thank you
Okay.
for allowing me.
Just the final two slides. The first here is just a reminder to the board that Bovier Elementary is going to be fundamentally a different sort of building. This is our first building that is highly sustainable. This building is 100% electrical. It is at 90% offsetting operational costs by 90%. Truly a remarkable design between solar and all of the efficiencies gained. As part of that, according to California Green Code, we are required to enter into a different type of agreement with SDG&E. This is just a transference agreement, but we have entered into that as we go into this construction phase. We will advise the board of any future updates to that agreement as well. For action items this evening, we do have two particular items. One is the RBV's for your technical education change order number 2, which was reviewed with you. Should the board choose to approve that change order, we are recommending the notice of completion be issued to the contractor so we can close out that project.
right, and that's, those items are 17H and 17I later on this evening. And then did we go through the feedback for everybody, right? We did. All right, thank you guys very much,
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right, next on the agenda is the consent calendar, number 11. Agenda items 11 through 16, all matters listed on the consent calendar are considered by the board to be routine and will be enacted by the board in one motion in the form listed below. There will be no discussion on these items prior to the time the board votes on the motion unless members of the board, the staff, or the public request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent calendar. The superintendent and staff recommend approval of all consent calendar items.
I have a request to pull item 16G.
G.
It's contracts. Do I need to give a specific one or overnight travel? I'm sorry,
16G.
or out of,
16G.
It's 15F.
15, because the 16G is summer asphalt,
No, it's 15F.
15.
15F.
Yeah.
Is that what you meant?
Trustee Smithfield, 15F, is that correct? BUSD out of district and overnight travel?
yeah. I think, let me pull it up. I have 16G number 18.
16G
16G is summer
is the
asphalt. and paving.
contracts, that's,
It's the CSBA one.
That's 15F, okay,
15F.
15F, all right,
Then I have one as well.
okay.
Are you done, Rosemary?
I am.
16E for me, I have a quick question.
16E. All right, I make a motion that we approve the consent calendar minus 15F and minus 16E.
Second.
Moved by myself and seconded by trustee Kelly. Any further discussion on the consent calendar? All right, we'll do roll call vote, starting with trustee Kelly.
Yes.
Okay, trustee Morocco,
Yes.
trustee Vargas,
Yes.
trustee Smithfield,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So the consent calendar passes 5-0. And so the 15F is
Does anyone have?
out of district and overnight travel. Trustee Smithfield, questions, comments?
So my question is the one about the CSBA. And I'm,
Number.
Number 18.
well, I have 16G number 18, so I'm trying to figure out how I messed that up. And I'm pulling it up on my phone, so that's also,
Page 148 for everybody who's got a blue book. Number 18.
okay,
on
well, I
page-
don't have a blue book. But I will go from my memory. So I'm questioning the one about the CSBA conference. And okay, to keep in mind, I'm gonna state for everybody to know that we have to cut $10 million from our budget. So I'm wondering why we're expanding this group. It's a school board association event. And we've expanded, it's been this, always been the school board and maybe the superintendent. I don't know if we've added Christine, but now all of a sudden we're taking assistant principals and this and that, which costs us money, which we don't have. I don't believe this organization really dictates to them. This is a school board association. So that is my concern with spending this money on that item.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Doyle.
So I don't believe, and I can check with Chris, that any assistant principals are coming. There is an assistant superintendent we're recommending to go. And then also, and then there's two reasons, so it's a very good question. This is the first time. The last time we were at the California School Boards Association, our board members and the superintendent went. Many school districts actually have the assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction attend. And many school districts have the executive secretary to the board and to the superintendent attend so that they can engage in learning and expand their social network with the executive assistants. That's the only reason that we put those on, because we feel like it would be a good growing.
I understand that, but we're cutting $10 million. So that's where my concern comes in.
I just simply wanted to give you the rationale for why we put it on there. I'll hand it back to the board president.
All right. Trustee Morocco?
Yeah, so I too had concerns about this. I actually have an item also that I wanted to talk about. It's separate from this, but this one was on there too. A couple of things. It's in Anaheim. So I don't see, like trustee Smithfield said, we're trying to cut $10 million from the budget. Anaheim's not that far away. I don't know why we have to pay for overnight travel to Anaheim. I think that that's a little bit much. And secondly, I am sort of concerned because once again, I refer back to this document, the dashboard, you know, and I look at our scores and I wonder what this organization is actually bringing to our kids, because I went to the one in December, last December up in San Francisco. And I was concerned that there was very little about academics on there. Very little. It was, you know, there was a lot about social emotional learning. There was a lot about, you know, there was school consolidations. There was all these other things, but very little about how we change this. And at the end of the day, if we are not teaching our children basic learning skills of reading, writing, and arithmetic, how to do math, we're not doing our job. I mean, all of this stuff about, making our students feel good. One of the things we've gotta acknowledge that one of the things that will make them feel the best about themselves is accomplishing and learning and giving them a true future. So, I have my own misgivings about this organization. However, I understand that many of you find it very valuable. Fine, but at the very least, can we just not do the overnight travel? I think that that's fair.
Can I respond to that, or do you want to have the questions first?
Trustee Kelly
Well, I don't have a question.
or comments?
I can make a comment.
Yeah.
I believe the majority of this cost is the actual registration for the conference, not the actual overnight in a hotel room. We typically have driven, this line item appears larger because, as a statewide organization, they'll move the location of the conference. We've had many years where it was in San Diego and it was much easier, but I still say the bulk of the expense is the registration, thank you. Also, because trustee Vargas and I are elected representatives, our attendance is required at the event, so it's not an optional expenditure. And as to the value and validity of it, I would say as a school board trustee, it has single-handedly been the thing that has empowered me the most, and helped me understand my role as an advocate at the statewide level, which very much does benefit making sure that our students have what they need to achieve.
Okay, well then, how do you explain?
We're not having a discussion, we're
Yeah.
taking turns. You've had your turn.
Yeah,
I believe Cipriano's next.
yeah. Actually, I'm gonna go.
Okay.
So, we have a policy, for out-of-district travel based on the county, correct, Dr. Doyle? If it's a county, like the county of San Diego, we don't stay, we don't stay overnight. If it's outside of the county of San Diego, then that's, we're just following what our policy is.
Correct.
For travel. So that's, my comment. Trustee Vargas?
Yeah, CSBA was just named one of the most effective advocacy organizations in Sacramento. So with the, part of the work that they do, they led the conversation of Prop 98 early on when we were in Sacramento. And so glad that their advocacy, along with all the other advocacy organizations, the unions and the legislators, made a dent, and the governor actually switched his Prop 98 position. With it, that is a success that we are seeing now in real time.
All right.
I just want to make one clarification. As superintendent, I've never submitted any receipts for overnight travel. So this might include receipts for board members or maybe other members of the team, but I don't do that. I drive up every day.
Can I ask a question? Point of clarification to trustee Vargas? Advocates for who? You're saying they're one of the strongest advocates. Advocates for who?
For school board members that represent districts across California.
Okay, again, I'm gonna point back to this document. We are failing our students. We are, at least here in Vista, we are not, our students are not achieving academically. So again, I look at this and go, how does this money that's supposed to be, impacting our students for student achievements, and it's just not showing up in the results. So I have grave misgivings about spending this money. When I just think that we need to find what works, and I don't think this is necessarily working for our students.
All right. Can I get a motion for 15F?
Yes, I make a motion that we.
Oh, wait, I have something else.
We're all working on 15F.
I don't think.
One
I
at a
have
time.
15F. I have something in 15F. That's line 18. Did you want to just do line 18?
The item you pulled was in a
15F.
different 16, you stated.
No, and then trustee Smithfield pulled 15F. I said it at the beginning that I also have an item on this as well.
Okay, what item?
It's line 8. Okay, and it's the overnight out of district travel to Anaheim for the EE&I educator effectiveness. Again, it's a similar thing. It's Anaheim, and I understand that. I get that we have a policy for in the county of San Diego, but it almost doesn't make sense. We're on the northern end of the county. So if something was down in Chula Vista, our our people would have to drive over there back and forth every day. Whereas Anaheim is probably as far away from Vista as Chula Vista is. So it would be more effective to have a policy that was based on mileage than it would be like kind of county, a county thing. But again, this is another one. I look at it, it's comes out to, for 2 days, $966.67 per person. To send our people there. So I just think that, again, probably a significant portion of that is overnight travel, or some, at least some portion of it. I don't think you can stay at a hotel in Anaheim for less than $400 or $500 a night. So I'm thinking. I don't think that, I've kind of been thinking that, is that necessary?
I think what I'm reading here, and maybe Dr. Olmsted or someone can corroborate, it says that the registration fees for 4 attendees have been comped. So
No.
there's probably some dollar value that we're realizing that offsets the expenditure. And that the expenditure listed is 3 hotel rooms, parking and meal reimbursement for a period of 3 or 4 days.
Yes, so it's a 3-day conference. The cost of the registration is $500 a person. All 4 of our conference registrations have been comped. My hotel room has been comped because I'm co-presenting. So we're asking for travel expenses for the 3 other members going.
And this being less than a month away, you've probably committed to being on a panel, you said, of presenting?
Yeah, but everything I'm doing is fully comped.
Okay.
All right,
And I'm not saying not to go. What I'm saying is just not overnight travel.
trustee Smithfield,
Yeah. So my memory, right, goes back to last year when I questioned us spending close to $500,000 for an MTSS conference. Of the feedback that I got throughout the year from our admin is that there was no follow through throughout the year. And now this year, we're doing the same thing, the same whatever. So my question is, where this training is going to go and how it's going to come out. But if we're going to spend this money, I think we should spend it on the people who are actually doing it, not the upper admin, so they can top down, but to the people who will actually be at the sites implementing these systems.
trustee Vargas.
Yeah, Dr. Though, can we work on something not now, but like, as far as like follow-up, I think it is critical that, when people do go to conferences, that, they, there's a follow-up on like the implementation or like, next steps. So that we can see the impact. I think it's definitely not, cost effective to send somebody to a conference and, have nothing in return or implementation.
We'll make sure you get a report on the MTSS conference, the follow-up on that, and then potential follow-up on
This is, yeah, more broadly, not just like MTSS, and I'm pretty sure some of it happens, it's just like,
Yes.
we're not
we will do that.
documenting it, or we might, but, I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, and I just wanna, my comment on this is with the multi-tiered system of support, it's a important part of the community schools implementation. It's based on those 4 pillars, so it's a really important thing, but yes, let's, find a way to document and what happens afterwards and the training or the professional development that has happened. Although when I went to the community schools showcase, the schools had like presentations of what they did. So maybe it's the other schools that maybe we need more information about. So, all right, so that is item 15F. So did we have a motion on the floor for that, for 15F?
I'll make a motion to approve item 15F.
As is.
Yes.
Second.
Moved by trustee Kelly and seconded by trustee Vargas. Any further discussion? All right, we're gonna do roll call vote. Trustee Vargas.
I have one more thing to say.
Okay,
To
go ahead.
Brianna's point about getting follow-up, that needs to go across the board, including when school board members go to different states to say they lobby and stuff on our dime. We need to get reports and actually the community's been asking for that for quite a few years. So
Thank you. Roll call vote, trustee Vargas,
Aye.
trustee Morocco,
Nay.
trustee Kelly,
Aye.
I vote aye, trustee Smithfield.
no,
All right, so 15F passes to 3-2. And then next is 16E, wait, 16E, the resolution for,
Yeah, I have a quick question. Just a quick
Okay.
question.
okay, so
Okay.
it's the resolution 2427 for
Yes,
the
yes.
education
Yeah,
protection
yeah,
account.
Yeah,
EPA spending.
I'm 90% sure, I'm 99% sure I'm gonna approve it. I just have a really quick question. Okay, it says, whereas the monies received from education protection account shall not be used for salaries or benefits for administrators or any other administrative costs. Does that include consultants?
I think this goes back to the Prop 30 legislation that passed many years ago.
Yeah.
So it's just not to be used basically for administrator salaries, just like bond funds can't be used for
Right.
administrator salaries.
But can it be used for consultants?
Indirectly, it can be, it's just not for administrator salaries
Gotcha.
Or administrative purposes.
or administrative purposes.
Okay.
So it's not
because
just salaries, administrative purposes.
It doesn't say administrative purpose. Oh, well, it says any other administrative costs.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, districts will typically, so there's three cash funding sources that make up the LCF calculator.
Right.
One first is the property taxes.
Uh-huh.
And so any of the shortfall, once local districts receive their property taxes, then the difference is made up either from EPA funds that are collected at the state level from Prop 30 or it's what's called state aid. So it's a combination of those two that make up the difference. And they, back in the legislation passed years ago, there was a stipulation that you can't use administrator salaries. So districts will apply it to the teacher salary. So we just move the
Okay.
positions over
Well, then-
to that resource.
I move that we approve 16E.
Right,
Second.
moved by trustee Morocco and seconded by trustee Kelly. Any further discussion on 16E? Okay, we'll do roll call vote, starting with trustee Morocco,
Yes.
trustee Kelly.
Yes.
I vote yes, trustee Smithfield
yes,
and trustee Vargas.
Aye.
So the 16E passes 5-0. All right, next on the agenda, well, we have a consent calendar. Now we're gonna go to, sorry, that's all the consent, 17A, but you know, we're gonna take a bathroom break. All right, so we'll take a 6-minute bathroom break, be back at 7:41.
Thank you for doing that.
Convene our regular board meeting. We are on 17 discussion action items, and we have many items on the agenda. So what we're gonna do for the action items is we're gonna again, keep it to a time so we can get through everything. If there's any action item that the will of the board is to extend discussion, then we may do that if the majority of the board wants to do it. We will have questions for staff first, and then discussion for us afterwards, okay? So 17A, adopt the local control and accountability plan, LCAP for 2024-25 school year. Come on down. The next contestant on The Price is Right.
You are the contestant.
Mhm.
Okay, now she's right.
Good evening, good evening.
Good evening. So before you have, to adopt our local control accountability plan. We've gone through several meetings, going through what's in the plan. We had no further updates since we last met. So are there any questions?
All right, so let's keep track of how we're starting. We're gonna start with trustee Kelly.
I do not have questions.
Okay, for staff. I don't have any questions. Trustee Smithfield, questions?
No,
Trustee Vargas?
No questions.
Trustee Morocco?
I just have a really quick comment, about the goals that we have. They're not very accessible to the general person who might be looking at this. Like, they're kind of, to me, I have a hard time kind of lining them up. I'm just wondering if it would be possible to do like a secondary set of goals that are more like SMART goals that are more so like increased reading scores by so much. But that's my only comment, is that maybe we could work on something like that in the
We
future.
should look at that as a revision for next
Yeah.
year.
Okay.
Talk to her a little bit though about the metrics, because she might be referring to the metrics that go with the goals.
So the goals. The big part of the plan is when you start on page. Well, sorry. I can't find it in here. So if we just kind of go to page 48 of 120.
Catch up with you. Okay,
So, you know, it says enhance student support systems to improve educational outcomes for social emotional
Okay,
well-being,
got it.
student engagement.
got it.
And then if you turn to the following page, that's where we're putting the measurement and results of what we're going after. So when you're looking at what's our goal around student achievement, those are our metrics. Now, this one's for not student achievement. I'm just showing you as an example.
Okay,
So this is where we put what the metric is. Some of these are state required metrics that we've discussed, what our baseline is right now, and then where we plan to be in 3 years. And then over these next years, we'll be updating year over year in our annual update, our progress.
okay, so I am completely lost here because I'm on this LCAP document and you said 48, that's not the same one. I have like 21 of 120 and then it's
I'm on page 50 of 120,
50 of 120. Okay, so
Bottom right hand corner.
bottom right hand corner.
okay, I'm trying to pull it up, but it jumped.
Can I just, can show you
Yeah.
here on the hard copy?
Yeah.
So this is how the metrics look as you go and look
Okay.
at so they're written
Oh, I see,
out.
I got them now.
Yeah, so we have robust literacy and math metrics in there.
Okay,
But I hear what you're saying. We could look at next year.
I mean, we can keep it. I'm just saying have a
More
separate
friendly.
one so
More
that
friendly.
the average layperson
Sure.
that's looking at it can see
Yeah.
where we're at.
Yeah, we can do it. No problem.
That's good feedback.
Yep.
All right, so now, seeing no further questions, now we'll go into discussion. Trustee Kelly, any discussion about, the LCAP, about adopting the LCAP?
No, may I make a motion or do we want to round?
Oh, yeah. We should do that.
I make a motion that we approve item 17A, the LCAP for the 24-25 school year.
So moved. I'll second it. All right, further discussion, trustee Kelly?
None, thank you.
Anyone else further discussion on adopting the LCAP for the 24-25 school year?
Yes. So I'm letting the people in the community know that I will not be voting on the LCAP, the blueprint, or the budget because it goes against where this district needs to go, which is putting the kids' basic needs first, not on administration, not on consultants, not on bringing outside people in to pad people's resumes. We're spending $1 million on a program that we've had for over 10 years that we should already be able to train our own people. 1.6 million on experts alone in this one document, and they're not all here. Students' basic needs have been put to the side where we should be focusing on class size, ETK, and pathways. I'm voting no because our priorities have shifted without board discussion. Last year, we spent money on MTSS. We were supposed to get a report. We did not. There's more money. It's not being used to build capacity in this district so we can stop spending. There's $80,000 on a climate survey that the board refuses to use and listen to our stakeholders' voices. There is money being spent on equity when in fact, we are not doing the best we can in equity. We have TOSAs who are out of the classroom, which are teachers on special assignment that do not work directly with kids. They could be in the classroom, and these are ways we can save money and work better for our kids. So therefore, I will not be voting. Also, we have departments that have been needing help and support. Hasn't happened. I've asked for information about how some of our special teachers are being asked to do, and are they working for the district, or are they working for outside entities on our time? Never got the full story on that, so therefore, I want the public to know this is exactly why I will be voting no. Thank you.
Trustee Vargas?
Yeah, I'm proud of the investments in this. It's not a perfect budget, but I think, this board has met numerous times. There is no other district in San Diego County that has met the number of times that we have. And so with the work, I'd like to reemphasize the point that Trustee Kelly made. We didn't have to lay off any staff. Other school districts across the state did not plan as strategically as we did. So kudos to Amy on that. A lot of, the funding that is going away. We used it strategically, and now we're at this point in time. But as we look at the future with the funding cliff, we do have to be mindful of these cuts, and we will continue to make cuts because that's the commitment that we made to the county of San Diego. We're not done. We cut $10 million this fiscal year, or next fiscal year, we're going to cut additional. And with how do we minimize that so that it has the least impact in direct learning for students, but at the same time, looking at what's happening across the district, because what we do at the district office is going to impact our school sites and vice versa.
Trustee Morocco?
It sounds like you're in agreement with trustee Smithfield then, because about cutting wasteful spending such as, consultants and things that are at the top, as opposed to making sure that we are going to keep
I'm in
all
agreement
this.
with this budget, so.
You're in agreement. Okay, so then you're not in agreement, trustee Smithfield. I don't know how you get that from this budget, but I'm in agreement with trustee Smithfield. I will be voting no as well.
Trustee Kelly?
Well, to address my trustees' concerns, I would say that you did not speak up on February 28th, April 25th, May 16th, or June 6th, when we met extensively to review this LCAP and budget. I concur with trustee Vargas. I stand behind it. I am in favor of it. I know a lot of work has gone into it. And we're the third year of a plan that we have successfully implemented, and we're seeing results from it.
Point of order. We did speak up. We were outvoted.
Your
But we
point
did
is not
speak up.
well taken. Or are you finished, trustee Kelly?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. For me, I'm echoing the sentiments of not having to lay off anybody, in our district, of people keeping our jobs, of our attendance rate increasing. Kids feel connected, they want to be in school, and that's evidenced by that, attendance rate. So the investments that we're making, in this LCAP are beginning to reap dividends, so I will be voting yes. All right.
So I
Call
have
the roll.
one more point. We did not bring them up. That is just false. We brought these up at every single meeting. Every single meeting. We tried to get you to look at the whole picture, the whole farce, and say, we got to put the kids first. So to sit here tonight and say that we didn't do that is, I don't know, what would you call that? Total falsehoods, making things up. This is why we need to start live streaming our workshops.
We're gonna go ahead and call the vote. I want to call the vote, unless three of you would like to extend discussion on this.
No, thank you.
Trustee,
I would like to.
trustee Vargas, would you like to extend discussion on this?
I'm good.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and call the vote, starting with, myself, I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield,
No,
trustee, Vargas,
Aye.
trustee Morocco,
No,
trustee Kelly.
Aye.
All right, so the LCAP, with the measure passes to adopt the local control and accountability plan 3-2. And next on the agenda is 17B, approve the 2023-24 local performance indicator self-reflection report for the reporting on the 2024 California School Dashboard.
So as part of our state metrics, they ask us to also look at our local metrics. And this report provided to you is to indicate how we're doing on local metrics such as social emotional learning, implementation of curriculum, those kind of things. And so it's just an annual report we do. It's an addendum to the LCAP, and we provide it at the same time on our local metrics.
All right, I'll start with myself with questions for staff. I don't have any questions. Trustee Smithfield, do you have any questions on item 17B?
yeah, I'm just gonna pull one up, but it kind of goes throughout. In this report, under access to instructional materials, and this is just one example, I'm just pulling it out so the public can look it up themselves. Students without access to their own copies of standards aligned instructional material for the use at school and at home, and we said 0. Are you telling me every one of our students has that
Has access
It was-
to textbooks at home?
at school and at home?
Yes.
Is that, no, they don't.
Can you
And-
explain
and
why you
no,
don't?
because we were at a school, Alamosa, with the superintendent, and they definitely shared how they do not have books. So that's just one. I'm not going to go on and on. I'm encouraging the public to look at it themselves. Thank you.
Do you have any comment on that?
The materials in question were delayed in ordering.
All right, let's
A
see.
whole year, Dr. Olmsted? A whole year?
My understanding of the situation is that the teacher who was there at the time did not need those materials. And when a teacher returned, requested those materials, and they received those materials within a 2 weeks time period.
So you're talking about one, I'm talking about the whole group of teachers got together and shared with us the different areas that they do not have the materials.
My understanding is you're talking about supplemental materials, which is not part of the Williams
Those
report.
children at this school, the program. No, 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 I'm not, but I'm not gonna argue.
This report is core curriculum, not supplemental.
Correct.
What did we leave off on? Who's next? Cipriano, trustee Vargas.
Yeah, no questions on my this one.
Trustee Morocco.
Well, I do have like, okay, so we just had the conversation about the goals and making them more kind of accessible to the everyday layperson. And I'm looking down here under practices. And it says, rate the school district's progress in developing multiple opportunities for the school district and school sites to engage in two-way communication between families and educators using language that is understandable and accessible to families. And there's a rating scale of 5. Is that different than what I brought up on the LCAP with regard to the goals? Because.
Yeah, that's different.
Okay.
So this is just how often do we actually provide our materials in the language of the primary language of our families.
Okay, but, so there's a couple things that we have when we're communicating. I just talked to somebody today, a parent. And she wanted to put her kids in summer school. She had, and I had told her, I said, oh, it's free. And she came back, she goes, it's not free. It's more than the Boys and Girls Club. And so I didn't know what to answer her. I was like, okay, so she put her children in the Boys and Girls Club of Carlsbad. And then came back and found out later on that no, actually the $170 a week that's listed there is offset by grants, but no, there was nowhere was that communicated to her. So it's things like this that I hear about in the district with little things that fall through the cracks. And so I'm not saying that this is any, necessarily here, but I'm not sure that a 5 warrants that when there's a few issues.
The 5 comes from, do we meet the compliance areas of translating our documents
I
into
see.
Spanish?
Okay,
And we do.
okay, all right, thank you.
Trustee Kelly.
No questions.
All right. So, I make a motion to approve 17B.
I second.
So moved by myself and seconded by trustee Kelly. Any further discussion? Are we gonna go ahead and do a roll call vote then? I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield,
No,
trustee Vargas,
Aye.
trustee Morocco,
No,
trustee Kelly.
Aye.
All right, 17B is approved. 3-2.
Next you have before you, oh, sorry.
Now, next is 17C, adopt the USD blueprint for educational excellence and innovation for the 24-25 school year.
The next you have before you our blueprint, which is a more friendly version of our 150 some odd page LCAP, broken down with budget line items and our goals, and our expenditures. This is what we worked on for the last few months. So we're just looking for final approval tonight.
All right, let's see, questions, trustee Smithfield, questions about the blueprint?
no,
Trustee Vargas?
Yeah, just one question, this one, a lot of discussion both at the local, state, federal level, social and emotional. So if you can give me the top lines of social and emotional investments in this document?
Oh, in this document, our school counselors, our vice principals, our smaller class sizes, our restorative practices, our game prevention work, all of our positive behavior intervention support work, all of those would be categorized under social emotional learning,
Thank you.
to name a few.
Trustee Morocco?
no questions.
Trustee Kelly?
No, thank you. No questions.
And I don't have any questions. Can I get a motion to approve 17C?
Yes, I make a motion that we adopt the blueprint for the 24-25 school year.
Moved by trustee Kelly. I'll second it, seconded by myself. Do a roll call vote. Trustee Vargas,
Aye.
trustee Morocco,
Nay,
trustee Kelly.
Aye.
I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield.
no,
All right, the measure 17C, not the measure, the item 17C is approved 3-2. Next is 17D, adopt the Vista Unified School District budget for the fiscal year 2024-25 and the resolution 24-29 identifying the budget reductions and needed in the 25-26 school year.
Hi, so from what was presented at the public hearing, we have no additional changes. We're still waiting at the state level for the governor to approve the state budget. We did receive an update with the legislative passing their budget, but the governor has not signed the budget at that point. So once they approve the budget, depending on what's in the trailer bill language, the budget may potentially need to be updated, which staff will bring that back by August 15th. Statutory requirement, 45-day budget.
All right. Questions from trustee Vargas,
No questions.
trustee Morocco?
Nope.
Trustee Kelly?
None, thank you.
I don't have any. Trustee Smithfield?
Amy, sorry, I'm not gonna vote for your budget, but no fault to you. I want to thank you for your service. You took us out of a very ugly, dark place financially. So I thank you. We're gonna miss you more than you even know, but every time I watch the bills, I'll be thinking of you.
Hopefully they'll win.
All right, can I get a motion to approve 17D?
Yes, I make a motion that we adopt the district budget for fiscal year 24-25 and resolution 24-29.
So moved. Second? I will second it. All right, any further discussion, trustee Kelly?
No, thank you.
I don't have further discussion, trustee Smithfield,
No,
trustee Vargas,
Nope.
trustee Morocco?
Yep.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and call the vote. Trustee Kelly?
Aye.
Trustee, I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield?
no,
Trustee Vargas?
Aye.
Trustee Morocco?
No.
All right, the budget is approved, it's adopted, and it is approved, I'm sorry, it carries 3-2. Tongue twister tonight. 17E, accept the 2022-23 financial and performance audits for the Measure LL bond program.
I grab one stack and not full stack. So as Dr. Lozier presented earlier with the annual report with the CVOC, tonight we are presenting the audit report. There were no findings in the audit report for Measure LL. This is a separate audit report from our annual financial statements that we did back in May. And so this is accepting the audit report for the 22-23 fiscal year with no findings.
All right. Trustee Morocco, questions on the audit report?
No, I just wanna also thank you for everything that you've done. We're gonna miss you very much, so.
Trustee Kelly?
No questions, thanks.
I don't have questions. Trustee Smithfield?
nope,
Trustee Vargas?
No questions.
All right, can I get a motion to accept the 2022-23 financial performance audits for Measure LL bond?
Yes, I make a motion to approve item 17E.
Okay, moved by trustee Kelly, and I'll second it. All right, any further discussion, trustee Kelly? No? Trustee Smithfield?
nope,
Trustee Vargas?
No.
Trustee Morocco?
Nope.
All right, we'll do the roll call vote. Trustee Morocco?
I'm a yes on this.
Trustee Kelly?
Aye.
I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield?
yes,
Trustee Vargas?
Aye.
All right, so 17E passes 5-0. Next is 17F, ratify and approve purchase orders. I'll make,
I'll make a motion for 17F.
all right, so moved. And I'll second. Any further discussion on ratify and approve purchase orders? Trustee Kelly?
Not for me, thank you.
Trustee Smithfield?
nope,
Trustee Vargas?
Nope.
Trustee Morocco?
Nope.
All right, and we'll go ahead and call the vote. Trustee Kelly? How do you vote?
Aye.
Trustee, I vote aye. Trustee Vargas?
Aye.
Trustee Smithfield?
aye,
Trustee Morocco?
I abstained.
All right, so 17F passes 4 ayes, 1 abstention. Next is 17G, oh, no, wait, yeah, okay, ratify and approve contract, 17G.
So the timing on this, normally it's under consent, but because there are contracts on here that are for 24-25, we wanted to have the LCAP in the budget approved prior to the board voting on the contracts listing.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve 17G.
Second.
Moved by myself, seconded by trustee Kelly. Any
I
further
actually have
discussion?
some questions.
Hmm.
Okay. So there's a couple of things. There's, we have one, contract, I guess this is the contract number, 6266000, and it goes to the San Diego County Office of Education. Renewal of service agreement for PBIS Tier 2 and Tier 3 training, coaching and support services to district staff for $99,000. We just, okay,
Christine, best position there.
all right. So I understand this is tier 2 and tier 3, and I'm thinking that the $1 million to the Center for Conflict and Resolution is a tier 1. Am I mistaken in that?
It's used as in all three tiers.
In all three tiers. Okay, so this is in addition to that $1 million that we're paying.
Restorative practices and PBIS are two different trainings.
Okay, so the restorative practices is the conflict and resolution, because I thought that said PBIS on it.
It's we pay for the the National Conflict Resolution Center through PBIS dollars.
Okay, and then this is paid for through different dollars then. Is that correct? Educator effectiveness? Educator effectiveness? Okay. All right, and then, there's this, there's also another one, public site, for sped. This is just a really quick, question,
Yes.
because it says,
It's the NP.
increase the contract for non-public agency for special education students. The new contract total with this increase is $825,000. So my question is, how long, do you know how long the contract is?
So these are approved on an annual basis, and so at they're originally presented with an estimated, and then depending on the true up of if there's additional students or additional supports, it comes back a second time in the year, but they're done on an annual basis.
Okay, so this is just, so we're paying $825
For students who are in non-public school.
for the year. Okay, all right, thank you. That was my question there. And then we have the National Conflict Resolution. This is that, okay, so this is a big question here because it says on the National Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, National Conflict Resolution Center, student support, it says year 3 of 5 agreement to provide restorative practice training and professional development for district staff. And then the new contract cost over 3 years is 1.3 million, 1,343,565. And for 2024-25, we're saying 724,000. My question is that at the last special board meeting, when we were talking about the $1 million, I believe you had said that this was the 5th year, that last year of the contract, because there was no more going forward after this, but this one says year 3 of 5.
So the very first year the contract was drafted, it was at a 5-year contract term, but it has an exit clause. And so with the revised plans being only 3 years, so when they get the 3rd year, they'll get a letter saying that we're terminating after year 3 instead of year 5.
Okay, and so we're in, okay, I got you. Okay, great, thank you.
And next year is year 3, right?
24-25.
It's year 3,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then next year is when we're finishing building our internal capacity, to
Okay.
then just do it internally the following year.
Awesome.
And then we'll
great.
terminate the
I love
contract.
And then
hearing
we'll
that.
terminate
I
the
love
contract.
hearing that. Okay, and then just for clarification, so instead of it being $1 million, it came down to 724,000?
Yeah, and we budget a little bit, pad the
Sure.
budget a little bit, because this year, when we had our contract, we had our high schools asked to add more practitioners
Okay,
because of some of the things we were seeing. So
okay,
we like that in case we need to up the contract, we
Okay.
just like to budget for it,
Okay.
even though we might not use it.
all right, thank you.
Mhm.
And then let's see, the next one was the Orange County Superintendent of Schools, so that's a Christine question, I'm pretty sure.
That's GLAD training.
Glad training,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's where the National Training Center for GLAD is out of the Orange County.
Okay,
Department
and
of
this
Education.
is for our teachers to go there, correct?
This is for them to come here,
Them to come here. Okay, gotcha, to work with our teachers.
our teachers and our principals. Our principals are also going to go through training with the training center.
Okay.
So they understand how to observe LAD in classrooms.
Okay, okay. Oh, and speaking of principals, how many initiatives do we have for our principals? How many initiatives do our principals have?
That's not germane to the contract.
Is it?
How
I mean,
many initiatives?
if this is something that, if our principals have too many initiatives, isn't this something that we might wanna consider taking off the table?
No, I wouldn't say that that's germane to approving that contract.
Okay, so I'm being censored?
No, you're not being censored. I don't think it's germane to the contract.
Okay, well, but that's fine. You've voiced your opinion. I'm gonna ask the question. Is, how many initiatives do our principals have?
You're out of order. You are.
This is a Brown Act meeting. I have a right to ask a question. I have a First Amendment right to ask a question, and this is germane. I need this question answered in order for me to make an informed decision.
No, now is not the time to answer that question.
Okay.
That's subjective anyways. It's very subjective.
I'm sorry, that is rich. It's very rich. Okay, all right, well then, if I'm not gonna get my question answered, I'm gonna vote no. Thank you.
All right.
Can we call the question? Did we have a motion in a second?
We did. We did. Whole question. All right, all in favor of approving 17G, we're going to do roll call. Trustee Vargas,
Aye.
trustee Morocco,
No.
trustee Kelly,
Aye.
I vote aye, trustee Smithfield.
No,
All right, next.
and there's
so
19, Rena, 19 initiatives.
Thank you, trustee.
17G, passes, is approved 3-2. All right, 17H, approve, the RBB Career Technical Education Complex Change Order Number 2, final construction cost.
So as Dr. Lozier presented earlier, this is the final deducted change order, which means it's a reduction to the total cost of the project by 33,900.
I move that we approve 17H.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Morocco, seconded by trustee Kelly. Any further discussion on 17H? Trustee Morocco, any further discussion? Trustee
No.
Kelly, I don't. Trustee Smithfield,
No,
trustee Vargas,
One question, I know, typically in the past, CT has been looked at as, courses for males. I know that we're working on recruiting females on this CT pathway, so any data points you can share, and then what we're doing to further recruit. I know that we're expanding the 7th grade at the, Vista High School and Rancho Buena Vista.
Yeah, we've seen.
so I have a point of order. Does this fit under this? I just heard trustee Morocco get shut down for a question that directly related to a contract, and now we're talking about something that doesn't have to do with the closing of the CTE
point is well
building.
taken. Your point is well taken. Do you have a question that is germane to the question of the change order and the cost, trustee?
I do not think of that.
Okay. All right, we're going to roll call, trustee Smithfield,
Yes,
trustee Vargas,
Aye.
trustee Morocco,
Aye.
trustee Kelly,
Aye.
and I vote aye, so 17H is approved 5-0. Next is 17I, accept the work and filing of notice of completion for the new CTE building at Rancho Buena Vista High School.
I'll make a motion to approve 17I, the filing of the notice of completion.
Okay, moved by trustee Kelly. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Morocco. Any further discussion? And this was part of the presentation earlier on. All right, any further discussion? Trustee Smithfield on this one, 17I?
no,
Trustee Vargas?
Nope.
All right, so we'll call the vote. Trustee Smithfield,
yes,
trustee Vargas,
Aye.
trustee Morocco,
Yes.
trustee Kelly,
Aye.
and I vote aye, so 17I is approved. It carries 5-0. Next is 17J, approve the contract extension of project professional core for Measure LL.
Thank you, Madam President. This is my item. We're recommending the proposal that has been proposed by Project Professionals Corps. We're satisfied with all of the service that they've provided. However, they've revised their contract reflecting that we only have Beaubier Elementary School as our project focus at this time. Calculations were made based upon a 250 day work year and reflect a senior construction manager and construction manager two as recommended by Project Professionals Corps.
All right, any questions? Let's see, let me start off with trustee Smithfield. Any questions on J?
I do.
Did you say you do or you do not? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I said I do not. I'm good.
Okay. Trustee Vargas?
Nope.
Trustee Morocco?
I do. It's more of a comment than a question, but I really am not happy that Grace is not included on this contract. I understand that we're scaling down the project, so we're down to one, and I get that. But it's sort of like we had these amazing results in all of our other construction, our Bond LL endeavors, and we had a great team. We had Chris, Alex, and Grace. And I just really feel like it's kind of like a recipe, and you take one of the ingredients out, and we may, I'm hoping that we have as good of results, but I really am disappointed that Grace is not being included in this, so. Not that there's nothing wrong, not that I have anything against Chris or Alex, they're amazing, but I'm just saying that the three of them are a really good team, and I would.
Trustee Kelly?
Yes, can I clarify with you, Dr. Loescher, who decides? We're approving the PPC contract. Do we designate who they assign to our projects, or is that their decision?
Yeah, so there's two elements to this. One is we make a recommendation based upon the number of projects we have. Those are based upon positions, not people. So we recommended a senior construction manager at a full-time rate. Then we recommended a secondary construction manager at a part-time rate based upon the scope of the project. And again, that's based upon a 250 day work year at 8 hours a day. The reason why we list that is if we have any trouble during the course of the project, we're able to adjust our rates, but then we bill the contractor back for those changes. When you see the listing, who is assigned is determined by Project Professionals Corps. They decide if they will send a particular individual based upon their classification. So they make that selection process. You will also note on this particular proposal, as with others, are actually other people that we have the option to consult with during the course of the contract, of which other positions are listed, including office assistants, director level positions, and others.
Okay, also, I guess my follow-up question, which I understand the answer to be yes, because you're recommending approval, but do you have a high confidence level that at the proposed staffing for the remainder of the projects we have PPC on board for, that we will be adequately and appropriately staffed?
I have a high confidence level that will be adequately and appropriate staff based upon Beaubier being our focus project. However, as we come back and as we determine how much more funding we may have other recommendations in the futures for different levels of staffing.
Thank you. No more questions.
All right, and I don't have any questions, but I will make a motion to approve 17J.
I second.
Moved by myself, seconded by trustee Kelly. Any further discussion?
I do.
Go
I
ahead.
I just want to talk about this process and how it followed out and my concerns. In the past, when we went forward, the board liaison was always involved with talking with PPC and what direction we wanted to go. So they'd have the board voice. There was no involvement at all, which causes me concern, because the reason we had to bring in a PPC to begin with, it was because we stopped those things that kept us accountable on track. So I'm looking at this with much skepticism for many reasons, which will be discussed in closed session. And yeah, it's a concern of how this whole thing went down. Thank you.
Trustee Vargas?
No questions.
Trustee Morocco?
No questions.
Trustee Kelly?
None,
All right,
thanks.
we're going to call the vote. I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield,
Yes.
trustee Vargas,
Aye.
trustee Morocco,
Aye.
trustee Kelly.
Hi.
All right, 17J passes 5-0. Next is 17K, the Vista Magnet Middle School exterior freezer upgrade.
I was waiting for this one.
So this item is for discussion tonight. What we're looking for is feedback into what design option could be possible for Vista Magnet. In the back of Vista Magnet, we have a very old building that is not DSA compliant that needs to be taken down. In addition, the freezer inside the structure needs to be replaced. We've got, the San Diego County Health Department. They've updated their requirements and we can no longer have freezers with the door that opens out into the outside. The door has to be enclosed. And so, trying to accomplish all of those items. Big picture for Vista Magnet. Vista Magnet used to be the central kitchen. It's now over North Avenue with the universal meal service and even with the expansion into what was formerly called the IMC space. With all of the ELOP, the after-school programs, the supper programs, they're still running out of space. And so big picture, they want to move the supper meal production over to Vista Magnet, which will help with the space alleviation. The freezer needs to be addressed along with the structural issues with that. And so it would also provide additional meal production space because meals are increasing at Vista Magnet again with universal meal service. And so Fund 13 can fund most of this. What Fund 13, the CNS fund can't is any structural supports. So they can't do foundations, they can't do like electrical, they can't do sewer, but they can do the freezer, they can do the supports of within the freezer. So there's two different options that we've provided. Obviously, the lower cost item is not to put a structure around the freezer, but potentially ordering a white, they make white panels and then you could either put a mural, you could put some landscaping. The more expensive option would be to put a structure around it. There can be some operational challenges that we've seen where critters get inside between the freezer and the crawl space and they kind of can create damage from the inside between wires and things like that. Right now, the staff is proposing to pursue a solution that would be just the freezer and not an enclosed space. That solution would be where the Fund 13 could pay for 1.7 million of that, and they would need support from Fund 40 for about $500,000. If the board would like to look at building a structure to enclose the freezer, what you see here, that would be a district expense of 1.5 million because they could not pay for the structure to go around the freezer. And so it's more, this is in the back of the campus. If you like look from downtown to Vista Magnet, you'll see it in the back. But with some basic landscaping and some painting, it almost covers the fact that it is a freezer. And so looking for feedback from the board about which direction we would want to take on a design solution.
All right, so we'll need a discussion or actually questions first about questions about option A. Trustee Vargas?
Yeah, we decided to go with the option that's just without the trees. And then we decided to do a mural like surface, like is it one of those surfaces that we can do a mural and it's gonna last, or is it?
Yeah, it would be a powder white finish, so it would not be you could either do the stainless steel, which then you still have to put a coat on it. This with the white powder finish, you could do a mural on top of that.
And what's the timeline on this project if we approve it tonight?
Ideally, we would want to be done by next summer. Depends on how quickly you get through DSA.
Got it.
Trustee Marco, questions on option A?
Well, my question, I'm kind of concerned about vandalism, being, exposed like that, but at the same time, the idea about the critters and plus the cost is turned me off completely from building the walls. So I'm kind of thinking, now, would we run in, if we put the white ones with the landscaping, would that run into the same problem with critters getting in there, or is there very much concern about that? With that
I think you
option.
could do the landscape options. This was just a sample that the architect put together so that you could see how it can be beautified so that it wasn't the freezer per se. And so you could do different landscaping. This was just some bushes and some trees.
No, I get it, I get
Oh,
it, but I'm just thinking that like, we're gonna put bushes or trees or something that tends to attract critters anyway. And I'm wondering if there's any concern about critters getting like chewing through wires or anything like that because of the landscaping.
It would be more visible and easy to get to versus a building that it's hard to get on the back wall and the freezer, so it would be there, it would be
I
more
see.
visible more easily, that if there was something creating mischievous, they could get to it right away.
Okay.
This is what happened at Vista High in that enclosed
Yeah.
structure, it'd be hard to get to.
Yeah.
Trustee Kelly, questions on option
And
A?
Dr. Dahl, could you put the slide up that has the 6 panels of images? Because I want to make sure I'm understanding. Keep scrolling. There's a. That, that.
Sometimes it takes a minute to load.
Okay, as you're trying to get it to load, I'll hold up mine, and just, my understanding is we're looking at option A, B, C in 3 columns on this page, which are standard freezer panels, white freezer panels, or the structure around them, correct?
Yeah, I mean, option A would be without the structure. We didn't have any pricing about the cost of a white powder finish versus the silver. So, as we were trying to guesstimate the range of costs.
Sure.
Obviously, the silver non-powder finish is going to be the most economical. It just
So
doesn't
that's
look the best.
standard. And in
That's
this
the
presentation,
standard, yeah.
Okay.
So you wanted slide 6, trustee?
The slide
It's
that
when it
had,
has the stick.
the slide 7.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just showing the silver, the white,
All of
and then
them?
the enclosed.
Yeah, there we
Do you
go.
wanna look at mine?
No, we got it. We got it.
I wanted to.
So yeah, the standard is
discuss
just
those.
the galvanized steel look. The white freezer, you could have that white surface and then potentially put a mural on it more easily. And then the third one is just putting a structure around
So
it.
there's really option A, B, C, and the top images, we're seeing what they are, and the bottom images, we're seeing what they are with landscaping.
Correct.
Okay,
No mural.
thank you. So for, now that I'm clear on what 3 options we're evaluating, I would say I also think staying away from option C, that we'll call it, the one with the built walls, is prudent for the reasons already discussed. And I would probably lean toward option B, doing the white panels, so that they would be appropriate for mural painting or some other beautification.
And I concur with the white freezer panels and the second picture on top. And for the reasons already stated with animals and such. Trustee Smithfield?
I do too, but I thought we were just talking about A. So are we now weighing in on all 3 of them? Did we change our conversation or what?
Well, yeah, we're looking for direction with just the freezer.
Well, I know what you're looking for from us, but I thought when the conversation started, like the first couple of people were asked, what do you think about A? And now we're talking about all 3 of them. So.
Option A, isn't that
Option
the
A.
top 3?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Martha started the conversation saying, okay, are there questions about A? And everybody was only answering till Julie brought in all 3. So
And
I'm going to
point of
skip
order.
the discussion on just A, and I'm going to say, I agree with B. If we're expanding the discussion guidelines, because they started out with only A. Just
If
a
I
point of
may
clarification.
clarify why I asked the question, none of the items were labeled with A, B, or C, so I needed to know before I weighed in on option A. I didn't really, I wanted verification that I was assuming option A was what we were all referring to. And I was probably out of order in saying I prefer B. But we have a big agenda and I thought it might help move things along.
And I should clarify, we
that's
don't have
fine.
the costs. We don't have the cost of the white panels from the vendors, so the cost reflected here is if we ordered silver versus having a building around it, but if we. Once the vendor would be able to give us the cost of the white panel, that would be a Fund 13 cost.
I'm actually not seeing any cost at all
I, me
in this
too.
presentation.
Oh, it's in the background agenda, in the background,
Agenda item.
the agenda
Okay,
item,
okay, so
the
sorry,
fiscal
yeah.
impact. So the fiscal impact, yes, option A is approximately $2.2 million, because we're in the very early stages, even prior to, it's, a very rough ROM.
Uh-huh.
This is what the architect has put together without having the white panel versus silver. And so, but really the difference is with this, the original intent is with a building and without a building. So option A is just the freezer, so it could be about 2.2 million, depending on the final ROM.
Mhm.
And then it still would go out to bid to get a final cost. Option B is to put a structure around it, which the architect is estimating, very rough draft, $3.2 million. So it's almost an increase of $1 million to put the structure around. So
Thank you.
that was the direction of to have a structure or not to have a
So
structure.
I guess I will restate or strike what I said, that I do not favor the agenda identified option B. I guess I would, when we get to that point.
Trustee Vargas, a question about option B, which, involved adding a modified building around the freezer to completely enclose it.
Doctor, is this the one, can you put it be on the screen?
Yep, this is the one that on the screen right now. This is the one that has the built enclosure on top of the freezer.
So it's about $1 million to hide the freezer, but then you run the risk of critters getting inside in between the freezer and the walls.
I was toggling between the as-built freezer and then the freezer with the walls built around it.
Got it. I guess the only difference is like there's like the trees in that other one, so like you're trying to add that as a.
Trying to just for aesthetics
Just
to
to
show what,
illustrate, just to
so that
illustrate.
it doesn't just look like we've dropped a freezer on the
Okay.
field.
No questions.
Is there any additional, if we were to add landscaping, is there additional cost to, aside from like the trees and planting them? Is there a structure, would there be additional work like grading or whatever, or is there room there? To add the landscaping later I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at. Could we always add the landscaping later, or does that have to be decided on before we actually go forward with it?
I think it could be actually after, because there's already existing field that gets watered
Okay,
and gets
yeah.
serviced, and
Okay.
so we would have the landscaping department look at, to see where the water lines are and what would need to be done.
This project is gonna come back to the board before it's even started. This is step one of a couple of steps that need to be taken. So really what's on the table tonight for the board, and we apologize for inadvertently causing confusion, is really just two options. Should you approve this so we can begin the process of determining going from a rough order of magnitude tonight to a specific cost that we will bring back to you with just the freezer, which would be option A, or with the freezer plus the structure built around it, which would be option 2.
Right.
And the difference between the two is about $1 million.
Right.
Ultimately, that's what we're asking tonight. We apologize if it was confusing.
Sorry if I confused it as well.
Well, are we ready for a motion?
Hold on, not quite. Trustee Kelly, okay, trustee Smithfield, I know you already said something about B, but do you have something else to add? about
Oh, I
option B?
take that back. I totally take that back. This was probably one of the most confusing things I was very, very confused, so I'm better now. So no.
Yeah, I think we were all confused because the pictures weren't labeled, but it's neither here nor there. All right, we will get a motion, please, or actually, someone make a motion on the preference.
I move that I don't know how to word this. Okay, I move that we do not go forward with the walls with the structure.
Okay, I think to friendly state that, for item
17K.
17K, the motion is to approve option A, a freezer only.
Okay, I move that we approve option A, a freezer only. Do I have to specify it or with landscaping at this point?
No, because that will come
Okay.
back to you at a later date.
Yeah, okay, I move that we go forward with option A,
So moved.
a freezer only.
Second.
Moved by trustee Morocco, seconded by trustee Kelly. Any further discussion? That was a tough one. All right, we're gonna call the vote. Trustee Morocco,
Aye.
trustee Kelly,
Aye.
I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield,
Aye.
trustee Vargas.
Aye.
All right, thank you. The measure passes 502. Approve option A. No structure. All right, freezer only. All right, 17L, approve the MOU between Vista Unified School District and California School Employees Association, chapter 389 for transportation services.
Hey, good evening.
Good
So
evening.
the following two items actually represent a partnership with CSEA and the district on working through our staffing shortages. And so item L is to continue the work we've done with the bus drivers to extend the 8 hours for another year, to extend hiring incentives, and these hiring incentives are over a 2-year period. And then also for our transportation assistance, and this one also includes the second phase that we had with the bus driver training program. So this is literally an extension of that, for the next year.
Okay, I move that we approve, item 17L.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Morocco, seconded by trustee Kelly. Any further discussion, trustee Morocco?
Not on my part.
Trustee Kelly?
No, thank you.
Trustee Smithfield?
No.
Trustee Vargas?
Nope.
All right, we'll move to a roll call vote. Trustee Morocco?
Aye.
Trustee Kelly?
Aye.
Trustee Smithfield?
Aye.
Trustee Vargas?
Aye.
And I vote aye. 17L passes 5-0. 17M, approve the MOU between Vista Unified School District and the California School Employees Association, chapter 389 for specific assistant positions.
So this MOU actually continues the support for our instructional assistant positions, which would be CNS, after school, and special education. And so that's why you'll see multiple sources there. And so this provides a hiring incentive. It also continues an increase in hours for our after-school program employees from 3 to 4 hours to 6. And so this is just a complete extension of the MOU that we had 2 years ago. And so this also allows us to contract out services for special education and the after-school program while we're continually recruiting.
I move that we approve item 17M.
Second.
Moved by trustee Morocco, seconded by trustee Kelly. Any further discussion, trustee Morocco?
Nope.
Trustee Kelly?
None.
Trustee Smithfield?
No.
Trustee Vargas?
Nope.
All right, and I don't have questions. Let's do the roll call vote. Trustee Morocco?
Aye.
Trustee Kelly?
Aye.
Trustee Smithfield?
Aye.
Trustee Vargas?
Aye.
And I vote aye. 17M carries 5-0. Approved. 17N, approved side letter of agreement between Vista Unified School District and the California School Employees Association. And it's chapter 389 regarding the Transportation Committee recommendations for extra work field trips for the 2024-2025 school year.
I know it's a very long name. So each year, the district and representatives from the transportation department come together. We review any language in the handbook, not in the contract language, but in the handbook regarding extra work and field trips. So we problem solve, we come up with solutions, and then there's a recommendation made by both sides to the bargaining team. And so then we memorialize that with a side letter. And then this information is updated in the handbook each year. So we have a regularly updated handbook. These are the parts that are negotiable from the handbook.
I move that we approve item 17N.
So moved. All second, moved by trustee Morocco, seconded by myself. Any further discussion? Trustee Morocco, trustee Kelly, trustee
thank you.
Smithfield,
Nope.
trustee Vargas.
Nope.
All right, roll call vote. Trustee Morocco,
Aye.
I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield,
Aye.
trustee Vargas,
Aye.
trustee Kelly.
Aye.
All right, 17N is approved 5-0. Next is 17O, approve the MOU between Vista Unified School District and the California School Employees Association. And it's chapter 389 regarding professional development days added to the 2024-2025 school year.
This MOU impacts our classified employees that work only during instructional days. And so back when we reduced the instructional days and made those professional development days, it does require an MOU with CSEA to add those days onto the work calendar for our instructional assistants, seeing as anybody that works those 180 regular instructional days. And so this continues their opportunity to participate in professional development, and it's also listed in the LCAP as a cost.
I move that we approve item 17O.
Second.
Moved by trustee Morocco, seconded by trustee Kelly. Any further discussion on 17O?
No.
Seeing none, we'll call the vote. Trustee Morocco,
Aye.
trustee Kelly,
Aye.
I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield,
Aye.
trustee Vargas.
Aye.
All right, 17O is approved 5-0. 17P, approve the Vista Teachers Association Sunshine proposal to the Vista Unified School District for negotiations of reopeners for the 2024-25 school year.
So this is a follow-up of our public hearing regarding VTA's sunshine proposal to BUSD. And it does require approval.
I move that we approve item 17P.
Second.
Moved by trustee Morocco, seconded by trustee Kelly. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, we'll call the vote. Trustee Morocco.
Aye.
Trustee Kelly.
Aye.
I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield.
Aye.
Trustee Vargas.
Aye.
All right, 17P is approved 5-0. Next is 17Q, approve the Vista Unified School District's sunshine proposal to the Vista Teachers Association for negotiations of reopener for the 2024-25 school year.
I make a motion that we approve 17Q.
Moved by trustee Kelly, seconded by trustee Morocco. Any further discussion? All right, seeing that, we'll do the vote. We'll call the vote. Trustee Kelly,
Aye.
trustee Morocco.
Aye.
I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield,
Aye.
trustee Vargas.
Aye.
All right, the motion carries 5-0. 17R, approve the Vista Unified School District Sunshine proposal to the California School Employees Association, Chapter 389 for negotiation of reopeners for the 2024-2025 school year.
I move that we approve 17R.
Second.
Moved by trustee Morocco, seconded by trustee Kelly. Any further discussion? All right, I'll call the vote. Trustee Kelly.
Aye.
Trustee Morocco.
Aye.
Trustee Vargas.
Aye.
Trustee Smithfield.
Aye.
I vote aye. 17R is approved 5-0. 17S, approve the California School Employees Association, Chapter 389 Sunshine Proposal to the Vista Unified School District for negotiation of reopeners for the 2024-2025 school year.
I move that we approve item 17S.
Second.
Moved by trustee Morocco, seconded by trustee Kelly. Any further discussion?
No.
Seeing none, we'll call the vote. Trustee Morocco.
Aye.
Trustee Kelly.
Aye.
I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield.
Aye.
Trustee Vargas.
Aye.
All right, 17S is approved 5-0. Motion carries. 17T, approve substitute teacher pay rate schedule effective July 1st, 2024.
So for the last 3 years, we have implemented a temporary increase in our substitute teacher pay rate. We recommend that we continue that for another year until some of the districts are settling down and we can, just to remain competitive. So we're recommending the same pay rate for all the substitute teachers for another year. Make a motion to approve 17T.
So moved. I'll second it. Moved by trustee Kelly, seconded by myself. Any further discussion on 17T yes.
Other than I'm gonna abstain because my husband is a substitute teacher, so I think I should abstain from this, so I will abstain from the vote.
All right, any further discussion on 17T?
Not for me, thank you.
Trustee Smithfield,
No.
trustee Vargas?
We're voting on this?
No, just questions.
Nope.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and call the vote. Trustee Kelly,
Aye.
I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield,
Aye.
trustee Vargas,
Aye.
trustee Morocco.
I abstain.
All right, so the measure carries 4 with 4 ayes and 1 abstention. 17U approval is recommended of a 5% increase to the board stipend effective July 1st, 2024.
I move that we approve 17U.
Second.
You guys laugh at every year.
Huh?
You guys laugh at chuckle at this.
I know, it just seems so wrong.
All right,
You guys
so
should
I'm
vote.
sorry, there was.
What are the numbers? Rachel, what are the numbers?
This year, it will go from 441 to 463, because we can only do that 5% increase each year. So that would be
Okay.
the month 441 to 463. The total cost would be 1,323.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, can you guys refresh my memory? Who made a motion?
I did.
All right,
I seconded.
okay, so moved by trustee Morocco, seconded by trustee Kelly. Any further questions or discussion on 17U? All right, seeing none, I'll do the roll call vote. Trustee Morocco,
Aye.
trustee Kelly,
Aye.
I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield,
Aye.
trustee Vargas.
Aye.
All right, so 17U is approved 5-0. Next, we have 17B, approve the salary increase for classified confidential supervisory and management non-representative groups retroactive to July 1st, 2023, and an increase to health and welfare benefits effective July 1st, 2024, and July 1st, 2025.
So following the VTA and the district tentative agreements regarding salary and benefits over the next 3 years, we typically bring back the classified confidential supervisory, very long name, groups, and respectfully ask the board to also approve the 4.5% salary increase for that group. Also, the increase to health and welfare benefits for next year for the 800, and then 1,200 the following year.
All right,
I make a motion to approve item 17V.
so moved by trustee Kelly. I'll second it. Any further discussion, trustee Kelly?
No, thank you.
Trustee Smithfield,
No.
trustee Vargas,
Nope.
trustee Morocco?
No.
All right, roll call vote. We'll call the vote. Trustee Kelly,
Aye.
I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield,
Aye.
trustee Vargas,
Aye.
trustee Morocco?
Aye.
All right, 17B carries. It is approved 5-0. Next is 17W, approve the salary increase for certificated management, assistant superintendents and chief operations officer retroactive to July 1st, 2023, and an increase to health and welfare benefits effective July 1st, 2024, and July 1st, 2025.
So this request is similar to the classified confidential and management request to BTA and the district TA with the 4.5 and the additional benefits. We do separate the two of them. So one's group is classified, one is certificated. So you can see the difference in the salary schedules for both groups. This also includes assistant superintendents and the chief operations officer, along with the certificated management non-representative groups.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve 17W.
So moved. I'll second it. Any further discussion? Trustee
Yes.
Kelly?
No.
Trustee
Sorry.
Smithfield?
Yeah, I do. I'm wondering if trustee Vargas was going to bring this up. When he and I were first on the board, there were no Me Too's for assistant superintendents because Devin Vadishka gave very good reasoning as to why assistant superintendents should never get a Me Too. And then we had an intern, Dr. Doyle, and Dr. Doyle and the assistant soups went and added the Me Too back in without really us knowing until the meeting to approve. And then we were told we couldn't say no, but we had to wait till the contracts were up. And at that point, we could say, pull that back. So I will be voting no on this because I agree with Dr. Vadishka and his philosophy. Again, money So I will be voting.
Trustee Vargas,
No comments.
trustee Morocco.
No comments.
All right, we'll do the roll call vote. Trustee Kelly.
Aye.
I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield,
No.
trustee Vargas,
Aye.
trustee Morocco.
No.
All right, so the seventeen W is approved 3-2. 17X, approve amendment to employment agreements for Assistant Superintendent Educational Excellence and Innovation and Human Relation, and Innovation and Human Relations. I did say that right.
So submitted by your.
So this item is, we bring up when, one of the members is coming to the end of their contract. This is the Assistant Superintendent of HR. We have added, for Ed Excellence as well for consideration. The Assistant Superintendent of HR is moving into her final year, next year. So we typically like to bring forward an approval of contract so that, that person, that individual feels confident in her job and doesn't spend a year looking for another job.
All right, any questions about 17X?
I do want to add that there is an additional stipend that would go on the amendment for the Assistant Superintendent of Ed Excellence, which would provide a doctoral stipend, which has never been on an Assistant Superintendent contract before. So I just did want to point that out because we wanted, it hasn't been provided as it has with other groups. So just wanted to make sure everybody knew that that was there as well.
Where is that on here?
So it's in the amendment, but down under fiscal impact, I also outlined it in the background and then down under the doctoral stipend. Under fiscal impact funding source, I added it there as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Can I talk if nobody else has any questions?
have we
You can
made,
take a motion.
we haven't made a motion, or hold, and then we'll have you. Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve 17X.
okay, moved by trustee Kelly. I'll second it. All right, further discussion, trustee Kelly,
No, thank you.
trustee Smithfield,
Yes, I do. There's a few things on this item. With the EE&I extension, that contract isn't up for a couple years, and to extend any of these contracts to 2028 is very not considerate that there could be a new board come the fall. And to strap people who may come in and have different visions for the district with people that might not fit that is detrimental to this district because it will cost them money. My other thing is I see the HR and I ask myself, this year we've had more grievances. In fact, they're still pouring in the summer. We've had more formal complaints. We have going to different government agencies like the DA questioning how we're giving credits at certain schools and how the attendance doesn't seem to match what the teachers are finding. There's many of these issues this year that never needed to exist. So for us to turn a blind eye to this and say this is okay to how we run a district is very concerning, and the public needs to be very aware of this. Thank you.
When you're finished, I want to respond.
okay, trustee Vargas,
Yeah, so 2020, that's, 4 years from now. I think in mine, I'd be more comfortable moving them up to 2027. It still gives us that buffer zone, but at the same time, if at that time there's a changing of a leadership in those positions, and that board at that time can make that decision, but I think, 2028, that's 4 years from now. So I think the average superintendent lasts 3 years, so I think, from now till 2027, that is 3 years.
trustee Morocco,
I appreciate the compromise there, but would you be willing to entertain a 2026?
No.
Because that would be, I think that would be very prudent. What about going to maybe revisiting this at the beginning, like January 2025? Because then if there's a new board, then they can weigh in on this. I think trustee Smithfield brings a really good point. So maybe if we were just to, if we could just delay this till January of 2025, then I don't think that our assistant superintendent of HR is gonna be looking for a job at that point. I'm not sure, but if, you know, perhaps that would be a nice workaround.
Has everybody talked except for me?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I have not.
Oh, go ahead, trustee Kelly.
I do favor, trustee Vargas's proposal that we extend to 2027, which is not as far ahead as what's currently proposed, but also gives us the ability to retain, these staff with confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would be amenable to the change for, as proposed, maybe 1 year from 2028 to 2027. And I think that, that would be a very good compromise, I think, so. All right, so trustee Kelly, did you make a motion to approve this?
I did.
Okay, so, but you were making a motion to approve it as is.
I accept a friendly amendment, if that is what trustee Vargas wants to phrase it as.
I'll make that for the amendment. Thank you.
Okay, so, and you accept it?
Yes.
All right.
2027 is the amendment, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so, it was moved by trustee Kelly to, approve the amendments and she accepted the friendly amendment by trustee Vargas to make it the contract till 2027 instead of 2028. And, we'll go ahead and take the roll call vote if there's no more discussion. All right, trustee Kelly?
Aye.
I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield?
No,
Trustee Vargas?
Aye.
Trustee Morocco?
No.
All right, so 17X is approved 3-2.
And we'll make the adjustments on that.
All right. And then 17Y, approve the interim contract for the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services.
So, as we've discussed tonight, Ms. Shackelford is moving on. And so we will need to find, well, we have Dr. Losher that we've identified as an interim assistant superintendent. Under the classified personnel commission rules, we can do that for 90 working days. And so this is a contract for the 90 working days, but also ties in to his contract as the chief operations officer. So that contract is still, we just will not fill it at this time. But that contract will still exist side by side with the other.
Well, and as we explained previously, the reason for this interim role is we're right in the middle of the budget crunch time and we want to make sure we finish that process. Amy mentioned earlier the 45-day budget, which is coming up in August. And then, of course, we're closing the books in September. So we need to make sure we have continuity of services. We've worked very closely with the San Diego County Office of Education and their budget department. They're supportive of this process. Obviously, during that time, we would go through an exhaustive process to look for a new representative, a new assistant superintendent. We also would want to bring forward considerations for how we might continue to adjust our budget and adjust administrative positions. So this is an opportunity for us to think carefully and strategically about future positions. So again, this is an interim role.
So I have a question. Okay, I'm confused about what you said about the chief operations.
So Dr. Losher currently is the chief operations officer.
Right.
His contract goes through the next year. Right now, he will serve as the interim business services assistant superintendent for 90 working days.
Okay,
And then the district decisions on those next steps. But his contract for chief operations officer aligns with this because this contract, the interim contract, refers to his welfare benefit, his benefits in the COO. So I just wanted to make sure we knew that the
Okay.
COO contract is still there. There just will not be somebody in that position.
I see. Okay,
Because if you, going back,
Right.
when you approved the management raises, there was also a management because it needs to be a retro to 2023.
no, I got you. So does that give us the ability that, let's say, if we find someone else to be the CBO, Sean could go back into his
Yes.
COO
Yes,
position?
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
why we're
gotcha.
doing this.
Okay, thank you.
May I make a motion to approve 17Y?
Moved by trustee Kelly,
I second.
seconded by trustee Morocco. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll call the vote. Trustee Kelly,
Aye.
trustee Morocco.
Aye.
I vote aye. Trustee Smithfield,
Aye.
trustee Vargas.
Aye.
All right, 17Y is approved 5-0. Next is 17Z, approve the resolutions 24-22 through 24-25 designating agents.
So this is an annual resolution. Normally my name would be on here. But with my moving on, and it needed to be timed after the board voted on the interim. So this would be replacing, John's name or my name with Dr. Loescher. And also adding Anna Machado. So these are like resolutions to pick up the mail, to sign checks. These are the annual resolutions the county requires so that they know who's the signature on a check. As an example of who can pick up mail besides our warehouse.
I make a motion to approve 17Z.
I second.
Moved by trustee Kelly, seconded by trustee Morocco. Any further discussion? I'm sorry, yeah, further discussion, trustee Kelly?
No, thank
Trustee
you.
Morocco?
Nope.
Trustee Smithfield?
Nope.
Trustee Vargas?
Nope.
All right, seeing none, we'll call the vote. Trustee Kelly?
Aye.
Trustee Morocco?
Aye.
Trustee Smithfield?
Aye.
Trustee Vargas?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so 17Z carries 5-0. It's approved. And then next is 17AA. Provide an overview for the scope and services for Michael Fullen Enterprises Incorporated contract with Vista Unified School District for deep learning pedagogies.
So just to be clear on this item, there is no contract at this point in time for the 24-25 school year. This is the item for the current school year. And the only reason we put this there is we wanted to make sure that the board had an opportunity to discuss this. They brought it up at the last board meeting, the last regularly scheduled board meeting. This topic has been discussed at the June 6th board meeting, but we just wanted to be sure that you had an opportunity to discuss it. But this is about the contract that's almost done, like 5 days from being complete. Yeah, tomorrow.
Right, I have the contract right here. So I was the one that I asked, really what I wanted to find out was in March,
Yes.
on the consent calendar was an $80,000 increase to this contract. And there was no explanation given for it. And I don't know why, somehow I missed it on the consent calendar and apparently nobody else had a question about that. I kind of think a 32% increase would warrant like an explanation, but nobody pulled it. And so in April, I just happened to notice it and that there was this, and you know, this $80,000 that is unexplained. And I want to reiterate for my colleagues that we are an oversight body. And when we have unexplained funds in this, like unexplained funds that we approve, we have to be very careful that we know exactly what it's going to, because it can be perceived as a gift of public funds. And that, my understanding is that is a penalty that is punishable by jail time. So in an effort to just get an explanation, I did a motion to reconsider, which was voted down. And so that's really, it's not about finding out what, although I do have an issue of spending this kind of money with a firm that's in Canada. And if this firm were to embezzle the money or decide that they fold up and they've got our money, how do we get it back? We're at the mercy, we'd be at the mercy of international law. So that's another issue. But for this purpose, I want an explanation for that $80,000 increase. It's a 32% increase. When I finally got a copy of the contract, it's a 2-year contract. That has, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it calculated out at something like $10,000 a month is what we were spending. And then with this $80,000 for the last 3 months of the contract, that took it from $10,000 a month to something like $36,000 a month, which represents like a 500% increase on the monthly outlay all of this raises red flags for me, and all I wanted was some answers, and I met brick walls everywhere, so I really want to know what that $80,000 increase was for.
So as soon as that was asked for, we provided in the Friday letter the scope of work. The scope of work is multiple pages that outlines the items that are addressed with this contract, and the $80,000 was an up to amount. Doesn't necessarily mean that we spent all $80,000. When the books are closed, we can
Right.
finalize that.
No, but at the same time, it's, because I'm looking at the scope of work in the contract, and I didn't see anything that was different in that scope of work versus this one.
Right, they're just continuing the work.
Okay, so, but we increased it. We increased it, instead of going at a rate of $500 an hour, it went to $1,000 an hour.
No, it just increased the time, more time.
More time.
Yes.
For 3 months.
More events,
So 30% increase for 3 months.
more events occurred.
Okay, I still don't
That was the
understand.
purpose.
That's like. I
The same cost per event, it was just more time, because it was a 2-year contract.
for 3 months. I mean, that's a 30% increase
So well,
for
it's up,
just.
up to 80,000, so it doesn't necessarily mean that we spent 80,000.
Okay, how much did we spend?
I can give you a rough guess, but we'll put that in a Friday letter.
Okay,
And you're not voting on anything tonight,
no,
so we'll put it in a Friday letter so that you know.
okay.
but
I
just-
still think that should not have been tucked away in a consent calendar for an increase like that. That should have been something that was discussed by the board, or just at least brought to our attention before it was even like, hey, be aware, this is on consent. You might want to, understand that this is what this is about. I would appreciate that in the future, considering that we are on the line. This is,
Right, of course.
our job could land us in jail. And so I really,
We have many contracts in the consent calendar, but that's the purpose of the consent calendar.
well, but so the thing was, on the consent calendar, there was no explanation for it. There was no contract. There was nothing explaining that. That's maybe if there was even just something on there, a memo that like, hey, we're increasing
We can
this.
provide you more details in the Friday letter.
Okay. Thank you.
There's no need to vote on this. It's not
No,
action.
that's not.
I understand that. Does anyone else have any comments on 17 AA?
I do. have
Yes,
one
I'm
more
very,
comment.
I'm very concerned about this contract, the fact that it's in the LCAP again. And when people talked to me when the agenda was posted, you had said in one of the last meetings or somewhere that, they do coaching, they do governance, which kind of is funny to me right at this point tonight. A lot of good that money did on governance. And the other part is we pay our assistant superintendent and our superintendent a lot of money to say that we have to get coaches and pay them this much money. I think there's something very wrong with that picture to say we're gonna pay our assistant soup $300,000 plus all the perks but we have to pay this contract because he needs a coach. Not sure we're doing the best with our taxpayers' money when we do these things. And then to complicate it, when they hear a board member ask a questions for specific, and they hear that board member being blocked from getting that information, it doesn't go well with the people you're supposed to be working. You take their hard-earned money and you spend it on this. We owe them more.
Just a point of clarification, assistant superintendents do not make $300,000 in this school district. And we did provide the information as soon as board members asked for it.
No, we didn't get what was asked for.
Trustee Kelly, do you have any comments on Michael Fuller and the contract?
Yeah, I do recall from this board's evaluation of Dr. Doyle last year. And this board, less trustee Morocco, who wasn't on the board, in the previous year, 2022. It was our directive in completing the superintendent evaluation that we wanted Dr. Doyle to receive high-level coaching, which, is an organization dedicated to education and continuous improvement. I do think there's a place for even our top leader to receive training, mentorship, and coaching. But I guess I just want to underscore that was this board's vote, a portion of this contract. So I don't I really bristle a bit at, calling it up as something that this administrative team did incorrectly.
And for me, I just want to add that Michael Fullen is a world-renowned speaker, facilitator, coach. Districts, county board of education want to work with him. He's been, writing and going into deep learning. So I feel that, us being able to work with a person like him and bringing that knowledge to Vista Unified is I think it's helpful for our administrators, and we all should continue that professional development and be lifelong learners. So that's my 2 cents on that. Anyone else? Trustee Vargas?
Yeah, I mean, another, directive was to grow capacity leadership among the school district, and if that's, helping with that goal, then, go for it. And with, if additional hours are needed, we ultimately have to vote on these contracts, so with the, we're having this discussion tonight, these contracts are also coming to us on a monthly basis.
Trustee Morocco?
A couple things. Okay, first of all, I do want to say that in the contract, there's an opt-out clause. And so when I did the motion to reconsider, President Alvarado informed the board that there was nothing that we could do about it. But this contract that was signed before I was on the board, and I, at that point, had no idea that there was an opt-out clause. The board was misled on that. So I just want to make note of that. However, my bigger concern is I keep hearing about this Michael Fullen and how great he is. I go back to our dashboard results, okay? And I go back to the results academically of California as a whole. We are failing in the country. We are failing, okay? We're failing our students. So if Michael Fullen is this great educational guru, where are the results to know which districts are actually achieving these wonderful results? Everybody's like, oh, he's so great, but if our kids can't read and write and do basic academic exercises, if they're not reading at proficient levels, if they're not writing at proficient levels, and if they're not doing arithmetic at proficient levels, then he could be the greatest speaker in the world. We have an obligation to serve our students and get them educated. And if we're not doing that, we're failing.
All right.
And then I have one more comment, a clarification. So, we did agree to bring him on, but without any improvement, like, Trustee Morocco just said, you guys just extended it in the LCAP. So it's going to continue on, probably with the same lack of results. The other thing is when I went through my notes, because it's that time, the coach that the board did during that evaluation was not for these areas. So maybe you can go back and read what we suggested the coach to work with the superintendent on, because this was not it. The main concern was something else. Actually, Trustee Vargas brought it up, but probably forgot about it again tonight. It was not for our portraits and things. It was for totally different reasons of running this district in a smoother manner with its people.
So
Okay.
I just want to make a statement. So there are conversations back and forth between board members. Information is expressed between board members, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all the information is accurate. When we talk about results, we've given the board over the past many months different presentations on results for students across the grade. We're more than happy to continue to bring those presentations back. This is a large district with complex systems. Each of those systems have different types of results. Academic results is one element of it. We've brought some academic results to you that we have during the school year. Those are called formative results. And then at the end of the year, when we get our state assessments, we'll bring those results back to you. They're already starting to come in, and the results are already showing an uptick in achievement. We will bring those results back to you, but I want to clear the record. We have presented many presentations of various types of results, and we will continue to provide those presentations.
All right, thank you, Dr. Doyle. So, we'll go ahead and end the discussion on, 17AA. Next on the agenda is 18, continuation of 7A, but there's nobody here. And so now it's a 19 board business discussion, 19A request for future board agenda items or other business.
I would like to put ETK on the next month because it's a time sensitive discussion that we really need to have.
Trustee Vargas,
Nothing in mind, thank you.
trustee Morocco.
Yep.
Trustee Kelly,
Nothing, thanks.
and I don't have any requests. 19B, board member reports, comments.
Yes, I do. I'm going to comment on a discussion we had last week and then a response that was in our Friday letter. We had a presentation from a man who we paid $100,000 to send flyers out. I brought up the fact that many people who I come in contact with in my area did not receive them. He blamed the post office, but the problematic part is several weeks prior to this, I took it to Dr. Doyle, which then a second batch could have been sent out. So when we got the Friday letter and people started contacting me, I told them, well, sorry, they said they sent it. So now they feel like this board who wants them to approve a bond that they don't truly have the trust in is now calling them liars and saying, we sent it to you, you got it because our little thing shows it. They didn't get it. If they didn't respond, they didn't get it. So the PR through that whole thing was pretty destructive for a group of people that want their input on us putting a bond that will increase their hard-earned money.
Trustee Vargas,
Nothing in mind, thank you.
trustee Morocco,
So that's board member reports or comments. No, I want to reflect on the board meeting. So,
trustee, Kelly.
Nothing, thanks.
All right, 19C, board member reflections. We'll start with trustee Morocco.
yeah, I just want to congratulate us for getting out at 9:20. So I do want to say that. Congratulations. Good job. Ish.
Yeah. Trustee Kelly.
I do have a reflection on this meeting. I'm saddened that so many of our votes came down to a 3-2 split. There's obviously a schism developing here, and I would like to remind my fellow trustees that it's not personal if you're in the minority of something. And we are here as a group. We do not rule as individuals. We are not here to administer the district. We're here to govern the district. We are elected, and we all have an equal say and equal observations and equal points of contact with the community. So it is not to be taken personally if one trustee does not have the same experiences or input as another one. And I would like to encourage my fellow trustees to find a way to continue to govern together in the way that we were elected by our communities.
Trustee, Vargas,
Nothing in mind, thank you.
trustee Smithfield.
No, thank you. I'm very good.
All right, and I would just like to, reflect on our governance handbook, and that's what we need to use to do our jobs effectively. It was passed by the board and we need to adhere to that because those are our norms. All right, the next regular board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, July 11, 2024. I adjourn this meeting at 9:02.